Live from Plainfield High School, it's Indiana High School football as the Plainfield High School Quakers are set to take on Mid-State Conference rival Mooresville High School Pioneers. Good evening, I am JP Sinclair, and this is the AudioSportsOnline.com pregame show. Thank you for listening to Plainfield Varsity Football, powered by AudioSportsOnline.com. This broadcast is brought to you by the Hendricks County Flyer, Rhodes and Kinley LLP, Copico Office Solutions, American Family Insurance, Doug Hawk Agency Incorporated, Wicker Construction, Julia Burbridge of Remax Centerstone, the Niagara Bottling Company, Beacon Sign Company, Three Pints Brew Pub, Carey Digital, Jimmy John's, Dugan Chevrolet, Dugan Sports Performance, and the Coachman Restaurant and Lounge, BMO Harris, and the Payroll Department. The last game out for Plainfield High School was a win against Danville High School at Lucas Oil Stadium. They won 23-14, and they bring their record to 1-1 on the season. I'm sure this young team really enjoyed the experience of playing under those lights, Leck.
Yeah, they did, and I just think it's great that Lucas Oil Stadium, through its 7-year history, has opened itself up to all these high school teams. I covered Decatur Central and Martinsville there at the stadium last week, and only 6% of high school players go on to play collegiately, and obviously an extremely small percentage, far less than 1%, ever play professionally. So, for all these kids growing up, presumably about 99.9% of them are Colts fans, and most of them probably will not play at a higher level. It's got to be, the thrill of a lifetime, something they'll never forget to, play at such a prestigious venue.
Well, Plainfield went 3-6 last season under head coach Brian Woodard. They started the season out the gates in very strong fashion, going 4-1 through the first 5, but then they lost 5 of their 6 games down the stretch. They finished 4th in the Mid-State Conference, averaging about 33 points per game last year, but they gave up 32 points defensively, so still looking to build on those solid numbers from last year.
Yeah, they are. They did have significant losses from last season. They lost 6 seniors who are now playing collegiately, including wide receiver Gabe. Hold on. They lost 6 players from last year who were playing college ball, but there are a couple of things that happened down the stretch. That at the beginning they had a dynamic backfield duo of Jacob Maple and Josh Miller, who were really lighting up the scoreboard, but then Miller got injured around Game 7, and without that balance, it really hurt the team down the stretch. And then also kicker Morgan Hagee, who had an outstanding season as a sophomore a couple of years ago, only played 2 games last year because of a broken leg, and that really hurt him down the stretch. There were plenty of times, like, for example, I covered them in their playoff loss to Lebanon. There were twice when they were down close, well within his range, and they didn't go for a field goal, where they probably would have had he been in the game, and that would have put him in position to win.
Yeah, he talked about I mean, you talk about a high scorer like Maple last year, still without his services after that first game against Columbus North, took a little bit of a spill and has not been seen since and will not be available tonight, so that will definitely hurt him going forward. Head coach Woodard is definitely going to have to pull out some big games from some of their other players in that backfield. Woodard himself is in his 8th year at the helm of Plainfield. He has a combined record of 55-35. You can always check out the archive podcast of the Brian Woodard Show every week on audiosportsonline.net under Plainfield. And our weekly sit-down this week with Coach, he talked about the win against Danville and previewed this Mooresville game. And when you talk about Mooresville, they tied their win total from last year already here in the first couple of weeks. I mean, they went 1-9 on the season last year. Their lone win coming against Franklin County High School late in the year. And for a long while, it looked like they might go winless.
Yeah, well, the last 2 years has been the same story. They started off 0-8 and then beat Franklin Central and then lost the first round of the playoffs. So Chad Dockery now in the 3rd season of his rebuilding, trying to get the team on the winning track they were on for most of last decade. From 99 to 09, they had 10 winning seasons out of those 11, including a couple of sectional championships, going 12-1 all the way back in 2004. But there are some signs of hope after losing last year by an average of 35 points a game. The Pioneers opened the season. They lost, but they were very competitive, losing only 7-0 to Lebanon. Then last week, they had a 46-0 blowout win over Bowman Academy. Now, granted, that's not a marquee opponent, but nevertheless, the Pioneers looked the best they've looked, since the Mark Bless era. And, a big part of the reason for their turnaround is quarterback sensation Alex Fabert. He's a very exciting young man, 6'2", 185. So far, he's completed 31 of 50 passes. That's 62%. Thrown 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And he's also lining it up on the ground. He's leading the team in rushing, 18 carries for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's only a junior, so he's a very solid piece to build an offense around and, get back on the winning track.
And talk about that game against Bowman Academy. It's still a long drive up to Gary to play that team, but they were able to dominate the matchup. So far through 2 games, Mooresville has only allowed the 7 points that they allowed against Lebanon, so they might have a very good defense, but it'll be a good test for Plainfield here tonight. Last year, Plainfield dominated the matchup, winning 42-14. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, but then again, though, last year Mooresville lost to Lebanon 29-0. This year it was down to 7-0, so you can see that they are really this isn't the same team that we saw the last 2 years.
Captains come out on the field to do the coin flip.
And so far this season, Plainfield has not had a statistically dominant player. Now, Colin, is it Nieswander?
Nieswander.
Yeah, Nieswander. He hasn't been great, but he has been solid. Completed 12 of 25 passes, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the best statistic for him so far, no interceptions. So while he has not been flashy, he's not been spectacular, he's been solid, and he has not made mistakes. He's going to make you beat Plainfield. They're not the kind of team that are going to beat themselves this season. And so far, leading the team in receiving, we have Clayton White. He has 5 receptions for 59 yards. And then in rushing, John Finch, 31 attempts for 95 yards. So now we've got the Quakers out on the field for the opening kickoff. We're still awaiting arrival of Mooresville.
Yeah, Mooresville won the flip, deferred to the second half, so Plainfield will receive. Going back deep to return for Plainfield will be John Finch. He has 2 kickoff returns for 14-yard average, and it also looks like somebody we're not used to seeing back there. I think that might be Gabe Bushman, the sophomore.
Yeah, let's see. So far this season, we've got John Finch and Dawson Anderson with 3 kickoff returns each for the Quakers. And now let's see who's lining up to kick for the Pioneers.
Jones Braxton will be the kickoff person for those Pioneers.
So got a really nice crowd here at Plainfield, a beautiful day. We had a lot of tailgating out in the lot before the game started. That's always good to see.
Check that. That's actually Jacob Perkins on the kick. As far as the weather for tonight's game, it's 84 degrees at kickoff, but with extremely high humidity, 69%. There is a 0% chance of rain during the course of this evening, and temperatures really won't dip until after about 9 o'clock.
So now the game is underway. The short distance kick fielded it. And he mishandles it at the 30.
Perkins with the very short kickoff and coming up to field it for a very, very minimal gain after it was bobbled was John Finch. But on that short kickoff, Plainfield will still be in excellent field position starting at their own 29-yard line.
Yeah, and for a team that so far has, really struggled on offense, you'll take the solid field position here. So let's see if they can convert it into some points. Remember, Mooresville only 7 points scored against the Pioneers the first two games.
Clayton White goes wide to the left. Under center is Colin Neiswinder. Neiswinder, the junior, 5'9", 165 pounds. Handoff is right up ahead to the right side for John Finch, but really minimal gain. And as Lex said, there is also a flag on the play.
So we'll see if it counts. And officials are deliberating here. I'll tell you, I saw, while we're waiting for the call, okay, face mask. And it's going to be, so it's going to be against the, they're going to be an incidental face mask, 5 yards, so that'll bring up, I guess it'll be 1st and 5 for Plainfield. So add 5 yards to their already decent starting field position.
And that still remains 1st and 5 for Plainfield. Clayton, check that. Tristan Southwood, wide left. Clayton White, wide right. I formation. Neiswinder under center. And
I got another flag.
Goes up ahead, but as Lex said, another flag, except this time it looks to be on Plainfield on the false start penalty.
So just wiping out the 5 yards they gained on that face mask.
So 2 straight penalties to start the game for these two teams.
So already been a busy game for the Zebras.
So it remains 1st and 10. We'll see how they line up this time. Zach Archer wide left. And 2 other receivers join him out there. Neiswinder in the pistol. He'll hand off to Finch, and Finch cuts over to the right side, gets ahead for about 2 before he's flattened. Great hit laid on that time by Grant West, the defensive lineman for Mooresville. Let's go ahead and take a quick second here as there is a Plainfield player down on the field. Like I said, it was a tough hit that time laid on.
Is that Finch down? I can't tell from my vantage point. I can't see his number.
I can't either, but that would be in the range of where Finch was actually hit down. He got hit down hard.
Well, I'll tell you, hopefully it's nothing serious. He's being attended to now by the Plainfield personnel.
Well, while he's being attended to, let's go ahead and lay out the starters for you for this Plainfield offense. On that offensive line from left to right, Alex Ray, the 5'11", 240 senior. Jacob Morris, the junior, 5'10", 260. Under center is Jacob Spray, the sophomore, 260 pounds, stands at 5'11". Connor Kennedy is the right guard. He's the lone freshman on this offensive line, 5'11", 230. And right tackle is played by Nolan Russell, the 6'3", 260 senior. Under centers, we've already talked about a couple times, is Colin Neiswinder, the junior, 5'9", 165 pounds. He against Columbus North, he was 5 of 14 for 97 yards and 1 touchdown. His main targets will be Clayton White, the 5'7" junior, 140 pounds. And Zach Archer is another one of his favorite targets, the junior, 6'2", 180. He had 1 touchdown against Columbus North. We talked about Jacob Maple, and we also talked about John Finch. Finch will be the main go-to guy in the backfield for him. He's senior, 5'7", 160. For the Mooresville defense, they counter with Grant West, Chance Justice, Ian Sizemore, and Drake Beaven on that defensive line. In the linebacker core, Austin Bridgewater, Dylan Peniston, and Ryan Sting. And then in the defensive backfield, David Masaville, Colson Scher, Garrett Meemer, and Ross McDonald. Still attending to a player on the field, so not looking too good for Plainfield. And we talked about the penalties to open the game, so it's been a rough start for both teams so far, Leck.
Yes, it has, and now we've got now the player is rising to his feet. And
it is Finch.
Yeah, it is Finch, so he got a 2-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage. That wasn't the first play that counted. He looks like he's has
Looks like he's having to be helped off the field. His left foot unable to put any pressure, his right foot unable to have any pressure on that leg.
Yeah, hopefully it's nothing serious, but he is being helped off the field by 2 of the Plainfield personnel. He's getting a nice ovation from this crowd. Again, he is the team's leading rusher on the season. Also, the team's only punt returner on the season so far, so he's been quite active in their game plan so far. And, hopefully he'll be back on the field soon. And now looks like we're about ready to resume play. 10:58 to go. First quarter, no score here at Plainfield.
Had to reset the play clock. Neiswander in the pistol. He's joined back there by Anderson Coy. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Neiswander looks to throw as his man Clayton White in the flat. He evades 1 tackle after a good block. Gets ahead to the 40. And we'll see what the pending flag is, but a decent gain that time on second down for Plainfield. It'll be holding against Plainfield. So
that one's coming back.
Each and every single play that we've had this far from scrimmage has had a penalty flag thrown on it.
Except for the one where there was the injury.
Except for the one there was the injury, correct.
So not the best start I've ever seen to a game.
So that'll march back Plainfield a little bit past the original line of scrimmage all the way back to their own 25-yard line, so call it second and long.
Well, this is a big play because Plainfield early on does not want to get into another third and long since they've really struggled to move the ball.
Zach Archer and Clayton White wide right, I formation for Neiswander. He hands off to the fullback straight ahead for a minimal gain. That's Tristan Southwood, the 5'10", 220 junior. Fullback on the carrier, so he'll get about 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah, Tristan Southwood actually leads the team in yards per rush. He's only carried 12 times coming into this game, but for 84 yards and even 7 yards a carry. And most importantly, 3 touchdowns.
So 10 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Nothing tie. Plainfield still on their first drive. 3 receivers go wide to the right. Neiswander in the shotgun. Joined back there by Anderson Coy. Neiswander rolls out right, finds his man in the flat, and he'll haul it in for the reception. Just shy of the first down marker. That is Zach Archer on the reception.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, it's early on. And it's no score, and you're at your own 38, but I think they will punt here.
They do send on the punt squad, as you talked about. Morgan Hagee, does both the place kicking and the punting duties for this Plainfield team. He's been pretty good thus far. 7 punts for 150 yards. That's a 35.5 average.
Yeah, Morgan Hagee's back with the vengeance this year, and it's a nice kick there, and it's going to be fielded, just about the 15.
So very nice kick. It's fielded at the 15 by Mooresville. Great return, evading tackles on that, and getting ahead to the 27-yard line. That time by
that was
Davius Masail.
Yeah, that's about as good a guess as I could have come up with on the pronunciation to that one. Chad Dockery, the Mooresville head coach, provided a lot of great information. Unfortunately, not a pronunciation guide.
Well, we tend to make do as best we can.
But 9:32 to go, first quarter. Mooresville, now we're going to get the first look at the exciting Alex Fabert and the rest of the Pioneer offense.
Fabert is a
junior.
6'2", 185 pounds. He's in the pistol. 3 receivers, spread formation to the left. He has his man in the flat, picked off by Plainfield, and returned a couple of yards by Dayton Clemens, the 5'11", 185 senior. So Mooresville's first play from scrimmage goes down as an interception. So great first play that time by Dayton Clemens to get the interception.
Yeah, Fabert, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception coming into the game, but his first one today, of course, it wasn't his fault. It was, bobbled by his intended receiver. And now Plainfield has the ball in outstanding field position. 9:26 to go, first quarter, trying to strike first blood.
So Neiswander comes right back out. 1 receiver to the left, 1 to the right. The one on the left in motion is Dante Keys. Neiswander takes it, hands off once again to the fullback. Straight ahead for a gain of 2 is Tristan Southwood.
Yeah, they were ready for him that time. He got maybe 2 yards there, Southwood did, after getting 4 on his first rush. They're giving him credit for 2.
And the running back in there for Plainfield right now is Anderson Coy, the 5'7", 170-pound junior.
Coy Anderson.
Coy Anderson. I said it backwards. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know him from covering baseball.
One receiver to the right, one to the left for Plainfield once again in the I formation. Handoff this time goes to Coy straight up ahead for a gain of minimal 2 yards.
Might have got back to the line of scrimmage, not much. He's a speedster, though. Actually, they're giving him credit for -1, actually.
So did not get much there for Plainfield. 8:30 left to go in the first. 0-0 tie. If you're just joining us, Plainfield's wearing the red with the white pants and red trim on the pants. Mooresville in the away white with the yellow pants.
Yeah, it looks like IU versus the Steelers.
Two receivers to the right for Plainfield on third down. And Nicewinder will keep it. He'll roll right. Gets a good block and has his man in the flat. Dante Keys unable to haul it in, though. That would have been well within the first down marker, but Keys was unable to haul it in. But good throw that time by Nicewinder.
Yeah, it was a good throw. It just the receiver just didn't get the grip on it, so that'll bring up 4th and 8. And will they go for a field goal? They are within Morgan Hagee's field goal range, assuming he's recovered from that broken leg fully.
Yeah, typically in high school football, you'll see them around this range. If it's well within the kicker's range, they're going to kick it. If not, they'll be going for it on a 4th down play. But it looks like
they are going for so this would be a 43-yard field goal from Morgan Hagee. I've seen him hit from 41. That was as a sophomore 2 years ago. He's back with the vengeance this year after missing all but 2 games last year.
Ball placed on the 33. It's up, has the distance, and looks good, and it is. So Plainfield draws first blood from a Morgan Hagee field goal to get their first 3 points of the game.
Well, if there was any doubt that Morgan Hagee's back, he took care of it right there. He's now 4 for 4 on field goals this season, though that was his first long range. Believe it or not, his first 3 field goals were all from 22 yards or less, so basically they were like extra points. So it's good to see that, he's got his range back and more.
Well, let's go ahead and take a moment to thank some of our sponsors. Thank you to our friends at the Hendricks County Flyer that have helped make tonight's video webcast possible. Please check them out online as well as watch tonight's game at flyerrecruit.com. Motion 360 by Hendricks Regional Health provides care for the way you were meant to move. We care for every muscle, bone, and joint in your body to get you back to the activities that you love. Get more information online at motion360.org.
Well, now Hagee, fresh off that 43-yard field goal that opened the scoring here tonight at Plainfield, now ready to kick off. And we'll see if he can, strike the ball as well as he did just a few seconds ago to give his team the lead.
Zach Odell back there to return, as well as Jacob Perkins. Hagee gets his foot into it. That's going to be a touchback. Easily a touchback, as Zeke Odell had to backtrack deep into the end zone to try and get a field on that one. So,
yeah, that was back into the middle of the end zone. Now, JP, I don't know if you have any insight into this. Do you know why you're not allowed to run it out in high school ball?
I don't know. My guess would be just the simple fact that the collisions are a little bit more fierce when you're running full steam like that. So that'd be my guess.
I don't know. Good question.
That's the way the NFL is anymore. It's just nothing but touchbacks on kickoffs. Why they bother to kick it at all is beyond me.
That's a good point, yeah.
So Favorite back on for Mooresville to try and get this offense going. Spread formation once again. 2 receivers either side. Favorite looks to throw, looks to the left, and unable to put it in.
There's a flag,
A late flag comes in. I don't know if that ball was actually catchable. The intended target was Tyler Garley, but it looks like that'll be in the realm of pass interference would be my guess, or holding.
Yeah, there was clearly some contact there on early. Whether it was enough to justify a flag, that's debatable, but, there is one nevertheless, so it's a 15 free yards to the Pioneers.
Let's go and talk about this Pioneers starting offense. From left to right on the offensive line is Bryce Love, Brandon Willis, Matthew Overton, Lawrence Lawyer, and also Skaggs. Handoff goes straight ahead where he's swallowed whole by Plainfield. Gets ahead for a couple more yards. Good push that time from Sam Westfall, the running back on the carry.
Yeah, I think they're going to give him credit for, they're marking it at 35, so they give him credit for 4. So that's a nice start there for Westfall on the season coming into tonight, only 10 for 24, 2.4 a carry, so that was a decent start for him. Although he does have a long of 20 and fumbled once, scored 1 touchdown.
Favorite once again in the shotgun, joined back there by Westfall. Ben Sharp and Derek Cox wide left, 2 other receivers wide right. Favorite gets it, looks to the right, has his target on the flat, almost picked off by Plainfield.
Oh my God!
Great concentration that time to bring it in by Sorks.
Wow!
And he'll rush he'll get the reception and go all the way for the score. Great defense that time from Plainfield, but even better offense as after he was able to haul it in, he found nothing but daylight in front of him to the end zone.
The outstanding catch there by Ricky Swats. He bobbled it a couple of times, but he made the grab, and his defender fell down, and he took advantage, took it all the way in. So Fabert, after throwing an interception on his first pass of the game, shakes it off. Now he throws a touchdown pass, 61 yards, and the Pioneers take their first lead of the game.
So Mooresville now up 6-3 with the pending PAT. And looked like they were going to think about going for 2, but instead, I believe a timeout was called by Mooresville. They'll talk it over and see if they want to go for the PAT or not.
Well, nevertheless, Mooresville has, the last few years they've, struggled very badly on offense. They've, had a lot of games where they were shut out or close to it. So to, get, a 61-yard touchdown pass early in the game against a team that's been a winner more times than not, the last decade. That's a very promising start.
Well, that was one of the things about Plainfield coming into the season was just how young they were on both sides of the ball. 2 to 3 seniors on either side of the ball for this very young Plainfield squad. But, it wasn't necessarily a broken play. It was a good effort that time by Dayton Clements, who had the last interception. He was just unable to swat the ball away as he went for the interception.
Yeah, it was... And I'll tell you, JP, if you look at the sidelines, you look at the body language of these Pioneer players, they do not look like a team that, is coming off back-to-back 1-9 seasons. I mean, Coach Dockery's got them playing with a lot of optimism and enthusiasm, and they look like they're ready to turn a corner and become competitive again this season.
As we wait for the pending PAT, let's go ahead and thank another couple of our sponsors. Established in 1882 as Harris Bank and owned by BMO Financial Group since 1984, BMO Harris Bank has grown to become one of the largest banks in the Midwest, serving personal, commercial, and affluent customers. They are located in Plainfield at 2609 East Main. For more information, call them at 839-3501. Rhodes & Kinsey LLP and CPAs and financial advisors in business since 1990. They handle individual and business tax and accounting work, located at 8315 West 10th Street in Indianapolis. You can call 271-1040 to set up an appointment. Copyco Office Solutions is a local Xerox dealership. We sell and service copiers and printers and provide a wide variety of technology solutions, providing and supporting all your business technology needs. Copyco is located at 2920 Fortune Circle West, Suite C. Call 241-5800 or stop by Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Looks like on the sidelines, we talked about it earlier, the big hit against John Finch. He's actually being wheeled out on the stretcher. He hears it from the crowd as he's being wheeled out.
He is sitting up. So, I mean, he's conscious, he's awake, but, obviously he needs to be attended to further. So hopefully there's nothing serious.
Almost blocked, and it's no good.
It's no
hitting
good.
The right
upright.
Hitting the right upright, and no good that time for Mooresville on the PAT.
So the Quakers are just a Morgan Hagee field goal away from tying it now because of that miss.
Yeah, the miss that time from Jacob Perkins. So Plainfield only trails by 3 now. 7:11 left to go here in the first quarter.
Well, when you've been a consistently losing team like Mooresville has the last couple of years, I think that getting off to a good start is extremely important. And I was really surprised that they deferred. I figured they would take the ball first, try to get an early lead. But Coach Chad Dockery's showing a lot of confidence in his young team, and I'll tell you, if there was any doubt about Alex Fabert being for real, maybe some people would say, well, he racked up big numbers last week against Bowman Academy. Well, now he's made a sensational touchdown pass against Plainfield, so his his stock is clearly on the rise. And like I said, he's a junior, so he's got another year to go. And, really trying to help Mooresville turn that corner and get back to the competitive team that they were, back in the Mark Bless era.
Dayton Clemens as well as Dawson Anderson back deep to return for Plainfield. Jacob Perkins set to kick off. Confidence has to be a little shaken after missing the PAT.
You'll see how he responds to it,
Didn't have a very good first kickoff to begin with. And that one's also a very short kick, fielded at the 30 and brought ahead for another gain of about 20 and still plowing ahead. I'm not sure who came up with it. It looks like it was
so very good
Alex
starting field goal position for the Quakers, and that's 2 consecutive kicks that went barely 30 yards for Perkins.
Alex Wall was actually the one that came up with it, the 6', 220 junior for Plainfield. So Avon still once again with decent field position on the poor kickoffs from Mooresville. They'll start this drive at their own 44-yard line.
So very welcome, good fields. Very welcome for the Quakers to start in good field position, even better than last time. So let's see if they take advantage of it again.
Wide left is Zach Archer. Anderson Coy will take it on the rush, on the handoff, and he'll plow ahead for maybe a gain of 1. Not very much on the trickery. Mooresville did a good job snuffing that one out.
Yeah, Coy Anderson, nice job there. He showed some speed. He went all the way to the left trying to get some room, but, and he did hack his way up for about 2 yards.
Linebacker core for Mooresville is Austin Bridgewater, Dylan Penningston, and Brian Strong. In the defensive backfield, Maysale, Sharp, Mimmer, and McDonald. Nice winder under center in the I formation. 2 receivers to the left. Handoff. Oh,
wow, they were ready for him.
Was to Anderson Coy, but he is snuffed out that time on the penetration from Chance Justice, the 6', 265 sophomore for this Pioneer team.
That was a big-time hit there by Justice. I mean, that's the kind of hit you hope you make when you got college scouts looking at you.
That's the kind of hit I don't get up from.
Yeah.
3rd and 9, ball on Plainfield's own 45-yard line.
Plainfield, this is already their third time being in 3rd and long this game. Let's see how they respond this time.
2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Nice winder on the throw. Has the screen set up to Coy Anderson. Has blockers ahead of him and will plow ahead for the first down and about a yard after that. So great time that time from the bubble screen that was set up perfectly from Plainfield.
Yeah, that was a nice move there, and, a nice confidence booster for Coy Anderson, having gotten stuffed really all night long. 3 carries for no yards, but he got 11 yards there on that reception.
And give Coy Anderson, or keep saying Coy Anderson, Anderson Coy.
No, it's Coy Anderson.
It is Coy Anderson.
Yeah.
Going to mark that right now on my sheet. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Man in motion is Dayton Clemens. He'll take it on the faker and throws downfield for a Mooresville interception. The flea flicker that time really didn't work out for Plainfield, and Mooresville takes full advantage of it.
Yeah, that was the first pass this year by a Quaker, by anybody on the Quakers other than Nicewander, and it ends up being a failure.
Dayton Clemens is the backup quarterback, but was unable to get anything going that time. So really, so far, a pretty good game, almost evenly matched. We've had a couple of interceptions.
Yeah, one by each team. So now let's see how Mooresville does in bad field position. They got the ball in the lead now.
And great throw by Favorite. I'm not sure if that one hit the deck first or not, and they will call it a catch.
So nice catch there by Early.
Favorite did a good job selling the run that time. Really a very widespread formation here from Mooresville. Each and every single play, I don't think I've seen Favorite under center once.
Yeah, they and I'll tell you that reminds me. Last season I covered the Pioneers. Well, I'll hold the thought till after this play, but because it's a funny story.
2 receivers to the right, 2 to the left. Favorite joined in the backfield by Westfall. Man in motion is Early. Early takes it on the handoff and has the first down, maybe a yard more.
Remember, Favorite is the team's leading rusher, 18 for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns coming into tonight. Well, I was going to say, though, last year I covered Mooresville. Their starting quarterback was Cody Cannon, so all game long I got to say Cannon in shotgun.
Early, technically, almost a running back, but he lines up in the wide receiver position once again. Two receivers to the left, that's Suits and Cox. Favorite takes it on the high snap and looks to throw. Can't hook up with his man on the left side, that's Early. Tyler Early, that is. The pass wasn't Early, I should say.
Yeah. And, coming into this game, Mooresville actually, over the first two games, 50 passes versus 43 rushes. You don't see a lot of high school teams that pass more than they throw.
Three receivers this time to the right, one to the left. Plainfield does their best to match up. Westfall will stand to the left of Favorite. 4:22 left to go in the first. Favorite takes it, looks left, and on the single coverage has his man and hooks up with him at about the 49.
Yes, he was.
They'll say he was in bounds, and that'll be a nice little hookup to about the Mooresville 47-yard line.
Well, if there, I don't think anybody is doubting now that Alex Favorite is for real.
Ben Sharp was all alone with one-on-one coverage on the left side. Talk about the three receivers to the right, probably drawing most of the defensive attention. But that time they got burned from the left side. Same formation. Faber looks right this time. Will throw. Can't hook up with his man in the middle of the field. Intended target was Derek Cox. And so that'll bring out 2nd and 10.
Boy, I'll tell you, this Faber is a gunslinger. He's thrown 50 passes over the first two games. He's already thrown 6 tonight, so he's on pace to even top what he's done the first 2 weeks. He's not shy about slinging it. He's playing with a lot of confidence.
And give credit to center Matthew Overton. I mean, you're playing from the shotgun pretty much each and every single play. That pass, every time it hits Faber, is right where he goes to throw it. Faber that time ducks up ahead, fakes the pass, and rushes ahead for a gain of a couple. So good awareness that time after the penetration forced the tuck down from Faber. Penetration that time by Bryce Biddle, the sophomore, 5'11", 250.
So Faber there on his second rush of the game goes for 4 yards. He has 7 now on the game to go with 91 passing yards, including the touchdown. So already he's got the Pioneers aiming at a 2-possession lead.
Westfall and Early joins Faber in the backfield. And a little bit of a mistake on the handoff, but Westfall gets it, still gets ahead for a gain of, call it 1. So despite the bobble between Faber and Westfall, they're still able to get a positive yardage, although it will still result in 4th down.
So let's see what they do here. They're going to give him credit for one. That was a little more than I thought he would get. But nevertheless, nice effort by Westfall coming off of the miscommunication to get any positive yards at all, like you said. So it looks like they are going to punt. And now back deep for the Quakers, we've got Coy Anderson.
It's actually the punter for this Mooresville team is Riley Swats. High punt, and that'll go out of bounds at, looks like they'll spot it around the, call it 14-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Quakers on their own 14.
So 2:43 to go here in the first quarter at Plainfield. Mooresville looks like a very confident team so far. They're not at all shy about throwing deep and throwing often. And we'll see what the we've already had a couple of really big passes from Faber. We'll see what Plainfield does to counter.
I formation from Plainfield. 2 receivers to the right. Man in motion is Clayton White from right to left. Handoff goes straight ahead to Southwood, who plows ahead for a call to gain of 6 before being brought down. So call it 2nd and 4.
Well, they definitely, that was a nice start to the drive there. With Southwood, I think they're giving him credit for 5, and they definitely want to avoid another dreaded 3rd and long. As Southwood now 3 carries, 11 yards here in the first quarter.
Dante Keys and Clayton White, 2 receivers to the left. Wide right is Zach Archer. Nice winder in the shotgun. Looks left, finds Clayton White, who plows ahead to the 1st down and a little bit more. Up ahead to call it the 30-yard line before being brought down. So Plainfield gets the first down on the hookup to Nicewinder to White.
Yeah, Clayton White with his first reception of the game, and there it goes for 11.
This time White goes wide to the right, and Zach Archer wide left. I formation once again for Plainfield. Nicewinder will take it and hand off. And
nice second effort.
Not getting much of anything that time does Plainfield on the rushing attempt. I believe that was Southwood on the carry. Check that. That was
Anderson.
Coy Anderson.
Yeah, well, they've been ready for Anderson every time. He's got the speed, but yeah, wherever he goes, there's always a wall of Pioneers to meet him. So once again, Coy Anderson held for no gain, gain of 1. He has 1 yard on 4 carries so far.
1:10 left to go in the first.
Does have a reception for 11 yards though.
3 receivers to the right for Plainfield. Handoff is faked. And Nicewinder will roll right with it, looking downfield, and way underthrown. Intended target at that time was Zach Archer, but Nicewinder had nothing on that throw. It looks like he didn't even attempt to get set before he threw it.
Yeah, there was nothing there. So now they're in another 3rd and long for the 4th time here in this fourth quarter. Mooresville clearly has cranked up the intensity on both sides of the ball. You know, I've talked about Favorite several times already, but you got to give their defense credit. I mean, they definitely came to play. They got really good size, and they've been ready to anticipate whatever the Quakers have thrown at them so far.
Dante Keys wide to the right, 2 receivers to the left. Nicewinder in the shotgun. He'll hand off straight ahead. Check that. He keeps it himself, but great job hunting him down was Ross McDonald, the 5'9", 150 junior for Mooresville, who really did a good job snuffing out the fake. It faked me out, but apparently didn't fake him out.
Yeah, it was a nice effort there by Nicewinder, but, nevertheless well short of what he needed for the first down. Got 3 yards on his first carry of the game.
So Davius Masayo goes back deep to return, comes up to field it, and he'll actually let it bounce.
Oh, my God.
That might roll all the way down to the 5 and into the end zone. Hagee did a good job placing that one beautifully, but not able to bring it down before the touchback was Plainfield.
Nevertheless, 65-yard punt. So definitely a welcome sight to the Quakers to see Morgan Hagee not only back, but, back in full form.
Despite the hot and humid nature of tonight's game, a great turnout from the Plainfield faithful, and also across the way, a great turnout from the Mooresville faithful, making the trip up 67.
Yeah, it's great to see. We got probably in the neighborhood of 300 or so Mooresville fans here on the Plainfield side of the field. Maybe
triple that.
Yeah, probably in the got a neighborhood of 2,500 or so, and
Favorite will hand off to Early, who looks to go to the left side and plows his way ahead for 2. Not much going on the end around that time.
And that will probably end the quarter here.
6 seconds left on the play clock. I doubt Mooresville will run anything else, like my esteemed colleague Lex said.
Yep.
So after 1, the score is in favor of Mooresville, 6-3.
Well, so far Morgan Hagee is connected on a 43-yard field goal, and then Alex Favorite connected with Ricky Swats on a 61-yard touchdown pass. The extra point failed, and that brings us to our current score of 6-3 in favor of the Mooresville Pioneers here at Plainfield.
Well, while we have a moment, let's go ahead and thank some more of our sponsors. Avon Dental Center has provided custom-made mouth guards to the football program for the 2nd consecutive year and are celebrating their 20th year in business. They are located at 7517 Beechwood Center Road, Suite 100 in Avon, and can be reached at 272-8100. Stop by and visit American Family Insurance, Doug Hawk Agency Incorporated at 704 North Carr Road in Plainfield. You can reach him at 839-9445. Stop in Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 to discuss your insurance needs. Wicker Construction. For more than 2 decades, Wicker Construction is engaged in building custom homes, remodeling, insurance repair, and handyman services while exceeding client expectations and delivering projects with professionalism and integrity. Wicker Construction works closely with you, the client, to understand your lifestyle and construction needs. Their services include insurance repairs, restoration, hail damage, and weather-related repairs, remodeling services, and new home construction. For more information, call Wicker Construction at 839-8353. Julia Burbich. With Julia Burbich and Bud Green from Remax Centerstone, you can consider it sold. As a team, Julia and Bud have over 20 years of combined commercial and residential sales experience. Our team effort has brought many large-scale commercial projects to Plainfield, and Julia is a continued leader in residential sales across the county. Call Julia today at 317-754-5057. Now let her make your next home purchase or selling experience as stress-free as possible.
Well, it's set to open the second quarter here. They credited Tyler Early, by the way, with a 4-yard gain on that rush on what turned out to be the last play of the first quarter. So now from the other end of the field, the Pioneers are trying to add to their lead.
Two receivers to the right, one to the left for Faber in the shotgun, joined by two running backs. Handoff goes straight ahead and brought down for a hit in the backfield. That time was Roger Roy, who was the first man there on the tackle. So great tackle for loss that time from Roy.
Yeah, and it's important for the Quakers because they've one thing that's helped Mooresville is that they've generally stayed out of third and long all game. So now it's not exactly third and long, but it is third and 8. So yeah, that counts as third and long. So that was a very important stop for the Quakers, and we'll see how Favorite responds. 11:22 to go, second quarter.
3rd and 8. Favorite takes it, looks left for the bubble screen, has his man in the open flat, who gets ahead to the 33. That is Ben Sharp. Will be shy of the first down, though.
So far, Favorite is 4 for 7, and I think they're going to credit. Yeah, they're going to credit him with Sharp with 7 on that. He also had a 22-yard earlier.
They'll go for it on 4th and 1. Favorite in the shotgun. And Plainfield just calls the timeout. They had one too many men on the field.
Oh.
Anderson was busting butt, shall we say, to get himself off the field, but head coach decided it was best to take the timeout was Woodard.
Yeah, you hate to use your timeouts and things like that, but at the same time, you don't want to.
You don't want to take a silly penalty, especially when you have good position at 4th and 1.
Yeah, I mean, and plus it would give Mooresville a first down, keep the drive alive, give them a chance to get down and take a 2-possession lead. And with Plainfield, they haven't been bad, but they certainly haven't been very good either on offense this season. You don't want to go down by 2 possessions, especially against a team that's really starting to, get its offense together this season.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Plainfield. In the backfield, you lose Jacob Maple early in the season, and now it looks like John Finch is going to be out for at least this game.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Plainfield. They rely so heavily on that running game, and it's so far – basically, it's been up to Coy Anderson the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, Plainfield's starting to have the kind of, luck that Portland Trailblazers have had with centers over the years. Josh Miller also last year, a game that really, threw the team's offense, off track and contributed to some of those late season losses.
Riley Swat's on. It looks like they're actually going to punt it away. Mooresville is now.
They're probably just trying to draw them off sides.
Swats gets a very nice high kick. Anderson raises up for the fair catch. Whistles were a little late blowing that time, but either way, it was a fair catch at about the Plainfield, call it 29, close to the 30, though.
Yeah, it's a rare example of a running fair catch. He ran, about 10 feet after he actually, called for it. But, almost always when you see somebody, call a fair catch, they usually stand in, place or maybe take at most one step.
Swats thus far for Mooresville has had 2 very, very nice punts, very high punts.
Yeah, he's multi-talented, not only that, but he also had the 61-yard touchdown reception. So part of the charm of high school ball, you see a lot of guys multitasking.
Nice winder this time in the shotgun. Looks for the quick screen setup. And Zach Archer will get ahead check that. They're going to waive that as a no gain. So Zach Archer unable to haul it in. So that'll bring out 2nd and 10.
So now Niswander 3 for 6 on the game, along with 31 passing yards.
2 receivers either side for Niswander. This time in the I formation. Handoff goes straight ahead to check that. Southwood looked to be the handoff, but plowing ahead for 5 was Niswander. The ball did come out, but they're going to roll him already down. So it'll be third and call it 5.
Who was the carrier there?
Nicewinder.
Okay, okay. Okay, so Nicewinder there with his second keeper of the game. So he has 8 rushing yards. So 10:09 to go here, second quarter at Plainfield. You got a really nice crowd of about 2,500 or so. It's been a hot day, and earlier we had a forecast of thunder showers, but that looks like it's long gone, thankfully.
2 receivers to the right, I formation. Pitch goes to the right side for Anderson. Anderson plows ahead. Still got some room to run with blockers ahead of him. Corey's finally brought down by Chance Justice. Good job that time by Anderson. Once he had the blocking right ahead of him, was just able to get a very, very nice solid game that time.
Yeah, Corey Anderson, only 1 yard on his first 4 rushes. He now he got picked up about 10 on that one, so nice confidence builder for that young man.
Clayton White wide to the left. Zach Archer in the slot. I formation this time. Nicewinder under center. He'll look for the flat to Dante Keys. Flag down. Dante Keys still down. He's going to be finally pushed out. Looked like he might have been able to go straight for the daylight, but got pushed out around the, call it the 35-yard line. But they'll spot it, actually. They're going to say went out at the, call it 43 of Mooresville, pending the penalty. It'll be holding on the offense, so that'll negate the big gain.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's we started off with I think 4 penalties the first 4 penalties the first 5 snaps, and then it really cooled down for a while, and now it's coming back again.
So that'll bring out 1st and 15. Ball now on Plainfield's own 40-yard line.
9:22 to go.
2 receivers to the left. Nicewinder once again under center. Tristan Southwood, the fullback. Man in motion is Keys from left to right. Nicewinder will hand off to Southwood, who plows ahead for a gain of maybe 1.
So who was that on the Southwood?
Southwood. So that'll bring out 2nd and 14.
So yeah, it looks like they're. See, they haven't spotted the ball yet. Okay, now at the 40, between the 41 and the 42.
So very minimal gain. Dante Keys wide to the right. Zach Archer wide left. Nicewinder under center. Fullback is Southwood. This time Anderson Coy Anderson gets the handoff, slips ahead for a nice little gain on the second effort.
Two good gains in a row for Anderson now, shaking off that rough start.
And it looks like the WTHR chopper is going to make an Operation Football landing somewhere nearby.
All right.
So that'll bring out 3rd and call it maybe 6.
Anderson now 6 for 19 on the game.
2 receivers to the right. I formation once again for Nicewinder. Man in motion is Clayton White from right to left. He'll backtrack a little bit, get himself set. And off this time goes to Anderson up ahead on the left side for another decent gain. Will be shy of the first down marker, though, but another nice gain of probably about 4 yards that time from Anderson.
Well, give Anderson credit after he got stuffed the first 4 times he rushed the ball. He's kept his poise and started finding some holes.
So 7:30 left to go in the second quarter. Mooresville still leads 6-3. Hagee now on to punt it away. Got to be nerve-wracking when you see the chopper flying in low if you're a player.
Yeah.
Machio goes to the right. Hagee, a flat punt, decent roll, will bounce at about the 9-yard line where it's fielded on a good play downfield by Corey Bennett. So that'll bring out 1st and 10 for the Pioneers.
So the Pioneers once again with a chance to take that 2-possession lead that's been elusive so far. Each team has led once in the game, both times by 3. Plainfield led 3-0, and then Mooresville currently 6-3. It's been a little over a quarter's worth of play since we had a score. Both the scores coming less than a minute apart there in the first quarter. So now Fabert.
3 receivers to the right. Screen goes straight to the that right side. And a gain of maybe 3 or 4 on the play from Fabert to Tyler Early.
So that's Early's second reception of the game. And that will put Fabert already over the 100-yard passing mark.
And most of the time when they do run it, it's not necessarily draw plays. It's mostly in-arounds to the wide receivers. So that's basically the rushing attack from Mooresville. They rely heavily on Fabert and his arm. Fabert in the shotgun, looks right, throws right, has his man wide open, unable to bring it in, though, is Clint Moore. He would have been all alone, one man to beat downfield.
Yeah, heck of an arm on this young man, though. Like I was jokingly, I jokingly mentioned earlier last year's starting quarterback Cody Cannon. I got to say Cannon and shotgun all the time, but it's ironic that his success for Fabert is the one who has the cannon for the arm.
Yeah, I don't think you can do much with Fabert for the last name when it comes to arm strength.
Yeah.
3 receivers to the left, one on the right for Fabert. Fabert looks left, now looks right. Straight ahead pass, but unable to hook up with his intended target, Zeke Odell, on the right side. It was a nice pass, though, just a little bit too far out of Odell's reach.
Yeah, it's too bad, if that had been, if you had, trying to think how to say, what I'm saying is that had, he been fast enough to make the catch, he could have gone all the way because that's how well thrown the ball was.
Yeah, Odell is a 6'1 sophomore, 185. So, Swats on to punt this one away. Anderson back deep to return. Straight punt this time. Anderson will field it at his own 45. Looks to make a move. Cuts back to the right side. Has a little bit of room to work with. Looking for a block or two. Doesn't get it, but will get ahead to about the 47 of Mooresville.
So good job by the Quaker defense holding the Pioneers 3 and out on that possession. 2 incomplete passes by Fabert and then 1 short gain. And nice job there on Anderson, finding a little bit of a hole. And now the Quakers started drive there in Pioneer territory. They'll tie with a field goal and take the lead with a touchdown almost halfway into the second quarter.
2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Man on the left is Zach Archer. Nice winder in the shotgun formation, joined back there by Anderson. He looks to throw, finds his man in the flat. That's Clayton White at about the 41. Or the 39, excuse me.
So that's nice wonder now. Let's see, it's going to be short. I think they're going to give him credit for 8 on that one. Who is the receiver there?
Clayton White.
Okay, yeah. So that's an 8-yard pass. They're bringing up 2nd and 2.
So White and Archer wide left. Nice winder once again under center. Southwood on the carry. He'll be met right at the line of scrimmage and pushed back that time by Ian Sizemore. You want to talk about size. Sizemore had it right there as he pushed Southwood back for probably a loss of 1.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's a good, that's a name with a lot of potential puns.
The senior is Sizemore, 6 foot, 225. Very stout young man. 12 seconds left on the play clock, 4:55 left to go in the second. Bunch formation this time. Looks like they're going to try and run it here on 3rd down. Handoff goes to Anderson, who looks to plow ahead. I don't think he got it.
Yeah, it's going to be close, but I think he looked to me like, he's about half a yard short. We'll see where they give him the spot, though. Of course, They very well could go for it.
It'll be 4th and inches. It will be shy.
Okay, so they're giving Anderson credit for no gain. He's 8 for 21 now. 4:26 to go.
And it looks like they will go for it here on 4th down. Once again, bunch formation. Nice winder under center. Southwood back in the fullback position, and Anderson right behind him.
6 seconds on the play clock, and we got a whistle.
Woodard will call timeout. So they'll talk it over and decide if they still want to go for it.
Sometimes in situations like that, they just try to draw the other team off sides. I've seen the Colts in the Peyton Manning era.
Yeah. He's famous for it. Special thanks to the Niagara Bottling Company, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For more information on how they can get to work for you, please call 909-230-5000, extension 5912. Student section getting a little bit rowdy right now as WTHR, as we said, is in the house. So they're trying to get them some Operation Football Spirit Award. And thus far they're doing a pretty good job of it. Looks like Nye is the anchor that's on site. Surprising to see him. He was at the Central Grove Carmel game not that long ago.
Yeah. Although I got to say, though, that one thing I hate about high school football, the only thing I hate about high school football is that the off season's too darn long. It's got 9 or 10 months. But
Hagee looks to be on to punt it away. Nobody back for Mooresville. I don't know if they realize that or not yet. A low snap. Hagee gets it, fields it, puts a nice kick on it, and that one will be down inside the 10-yard line. So once again, Hagee with the nice directional punt with the just the perfect amount of spin on that.
Yeah, and one thing that has helped the Quakers in this game is that, in general, they have not given the Pioneers real good starting field position.
No, they haven't.
Gosh, I remember that game we with the Roncalli Decatur Central game we did last year. There were a lot of factors that resulted in Roncalli winning, but one of the biggest was Decatur Central just had horrible field position for so much of the game.
Well, when you talk about a game of inches, every inch of field position is definitely something that matters.
Yeah,
and I think Mooresville's only scoring play has came on that interception where they had decent field position.
Well, I don't. Hold on, hold that thought. Oh boy. Yeah, there's a fumble there on the handoff there.
Austin Bridgewater.
Austin Bridgewater on his first carry of the game. So he did a good job just avoiding a major disaster. They're going to give him credit for -3 there on that play.
So 3:30 left to go in the second quarter.
One thing we've seen very little of so far is Fabert on the ground.
That's added a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So now Fabert through the arms there.
Fabert can't hook up with the intended target of Clinton Moore. So that'll bring out 3rd and long. Call it.
So Fabert 5 for 11 now. He does have 103 yards and 1 touchdown, though also 1 interception. And his last 3 passes have been incompletions, and now they got the Pioneers in another 3rd and long.
Well, if the Quakers can get the stop here that they need, they'll be in excellent field position on the punt return, but it'll be close. Just shy of the first down on the good effort run that time from Westfall.
Yeah, it's probably worth a shot to catch him asleep. Nevertheless, it gives your punter quite a few more yards. Because another incomplete pass, and they would have been punting from the back of the end zone, which is a very, very dangerous place to be.
So that'll bring out 4th and call it 2.
So who was the rusher on that play?
It was Westfall.
Oh, yes, sir. So they're crediting him with 11.
So 2:30 left to go in the second. Clock still winding down. Plainfield does have 1 timeout left. Mooresville with all 3 of theirs.
Keep in mind, Mooresville does get the ball first. Hold on.
Whistles blow as Swats is ready to punt it away. But Mooresville takes the timeout.
That's their first.
So they still have 2 remaining.
I'll tell you, that's one thing about, that's one thing to be said about fundamentals. If you're a coach, you always want to do your best to save your timeouts for when you're this late and you can afford to use them like this. You hate to burn it, because your players were confused on a play or something like that.
So let's go ahead and take a moment to thank some more of our sponsors. The Beacon Sign Company specializes in local high school sports and event signage needs. They are in their 12th year supporting the Red Pride football program. They are located at 9305 East U.S. Highway 36 in Avon. Call 272-2388 for all your signage needs or stop by Monday through Friday from 4 to 6. Mooresville back on to punt it away. Swats on to punt it away. Coy Anderson back deep to return. Very low punt. Swats gets it away. Straight ahead kick. Coy will have to drift to the left. If he does field it, he'll continually let it bounce all the way down to about the, call it, 30-yard line.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of great bounces for the punting team in this game. Saw that one on the punt from Hagee earlier.
So the Quakers will have about 2 minutes and 7 seconds on the clock to try and get something going if they want to get it into the end zone before the end of the second quarter. They do have one timeout to work with.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how aggressive they are. They have not moved the ball terribly well this season, but and then with only one timeout, obviously that certainly affects your strategy as well.
Pass goes to Clayton White. He'll be brought down at close to the 38-yard line for Plainfield, so a gain of, call it, 6.
That was a nice job there by Masaley, making sure, grabbing the ankle, making sure he didn't get out of bounds.
So that'll bring out second and, call it, 3. Clock continues to run for Plainfield. All 3 receivers for Plainfield go wide to the left. Nicewinder in the shotgun. Nicewinder will take it, fake the handoff. He rolls left. He'll have to get himself squared if he wants to throw. Looks downfield, has his man, and unable to haul it in was Clayton White as he got hit from behind and knocked the ball loose. So that'll bring out third and, call it, 2.
Well, it's a very crucial play, for the Quakers. Even if they don't score, you definitely want to get this first down and at least be able to run out the rest of the clock without giving the Pioneers another chance, especially since, remember, the Pioneers get the ball first to start the second half.
And the Pioneers do still have 2 timeouts left.
Yeah. Oh,
that'll be a false start. That'll back them up even further. Plainfield has gotten a couple penalties to go against them thus far in this one. I believe that's their 4th penalty.
Yeah, they just got a little too excited there, and I'll tell you, it's hard to overemphasize the difference between 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 7.
Yeah, you have a lot more options in your playbook at 3rd and 2.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like Hagee will come on to, check that. They're still going to go for it.
Well, even without all the...
it's still 3rd down. Excuse me. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, even without all the... hold on. I'll save all that thought.
Nicewinder takes it. He looks downfield. Has time. Rolls to the right. Being pursued. Looks to throw. Coming up to receive it is Dante Keys. And he was not able to haul it in. So that will bring out 4th down.
Well, so now the Pioneers will get the ball back. And I'll tell you, the best case scenario, granted, this would require a lot of things to go their way. But if the Pioneers were to get a touchdown here and then, open the second half getting the ball and get another touchdown, take a 3-possession lead, that would be not insurmountable, but certainly a very tall order for the Quakers to overcome. Now, it's far from a guarantee that'll happen, but, that's the best case scenario for Mooresville.
Nice high punt from Hagee. And they'll let it get it roll.
Bounce.
That's the end-over-end kick that just continues to roll all the way down to, call it, the 13-yard line. So Mooresville, even though they have a minute on the clock and 2 timeouts, they're going to be, once again, in not very good field position.
Yeah, that's right, and that's really one of the things that's kept the Quakers in this one. And, we'll see what Favorite and company do. If they'll just, settle for a 3-point lead at the half, or if they'll be really aggressive. Certainly it helps that they have 2 timeouts left. That gives them a lot of freedom to work the whole field. And, of course, one thing that helps also, high school ball as well as college, when you get the first down, the clock stops to move the chains, unlike the NFL.
3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Nicewinder looks to throw, looks to the right side, has his man.
Got it!
Wide open. Will he get out of bounds? He runs back into the field of play.
Wow.
But a very big-time gain all the way down to the Plainfield 47, excuse me. The reception was made that time by Riley Swaits. So great hookup from Favorite to Riley Swaits for the big gain. 56 seconds left on the clock. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Favorite looks to pass, looks left. Will find Westfall in the open field, and he'll be met straight ahead that time by the Quakers as timeout whistles are called. The tackle was made that time by Tyler Maple. That'd be Jacob Maple's brother, the freshman, 6'2", 165.
Who was the one who made the long reception for the...
Riley Swaits.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, he's the one who had the touchdown earlier.
So the clock stops with 43 seconds. Pioneers up 6-3. They're driving. It'll be 2nd and 10 on the Plainfield 47.
And that one they're going to call that last one. Looks like no gain there on the reception by Westfall, which is his first of the game.
Westfall really didn't have much room to work with. Plainfield did a good job rushing to the ball that time.
Actually, they are giving him credit for 2. Excuse me. His first reception of the game. He's got 43.8 now to go, 2nd and 8.
They're actually going to move the clock back to 45 seconds. So it'll be 2nd and 8 for Mooresville. Favorite has been absolutely gorgeous on his throws thus far. Only had a few incompletions that were just a hair off. 2 receivers either side for Favorite. Favorite looks right, steps up.
Lots of time.
Has pressure, will roll to the right, and be brought down to the backfield.
They're going to have to use a timeout now.
And Mooresville, you'll use their last timeout. Great pursuit that time from Matt Moeller, the 6'2", 220 junior.
That's the most that this crowd has gotten into it in a while. They really responded to that sack. As they're, that's going to be a sack for, let's see. They're marking it.
Well, it was 3rd and 8, so from where that would be about a 7-yard sack.
Yeah, 6 or 7. Nevertheless, a huge play for the Quakers defense. 34 seconds and counting here in the 34 seconds and the clock stopped here.
Well, at this point, if you're Mooresville, do you try and just kind of play it safe after a big loss of momentum play like that?
With one timeout left, I would say, at least it's worth taking, one pass downfield, or at least one mid-range pass, see what happens.
So 34 seconds on the clock here in the second quarter. 6-3 is the Mooresville lead.
Especially with Plainfield not having a real dynamic offense.
Favorite gets it, looks straight, finds his man in the open field on the right side. That's early with room to run.
He's going to be close to the first.
He will get to that first down marker, I believe. Or if he isn't, just shy. And he will be just about a couple of inches, maybe a full yard shy. Clock continues to run. Westfall and the quarterback keeper by Favorite, and now they'll call the timeout. So that leaves 8.9 seconds. There is a flag on the far side of the field, though, after Favorite got the first down on the quarterback keeper. We'll see what the flag is. It might be an illegal procedure on the offense.
Even so, I'd imagine this late they'd probably go for it. Yes,
it is an illegal procedure. A false start on the offense, so that'll negate the big play. So it'll be 4th and 6. Basically, all you have for right here is a shot to the end zone. Receivers in bunch formation. Favorite takes it, rolls right. 3 receivers running downfield. Favorite rolls deep, and it's picked off by Plainfield, but they won't be able to do much with it. The interception that time was, once again, Dayton Clements. That's his second pick of the day.
Yeah, it shows statistics should be misleading. The first one, the first interception was off the arms of one of his receivers. Second one was just, throwing it up for grabs at the end. So, you look at the 2 interceptions, and it seems like he's having a worse game than he is. But nevertheless, Mooresville does go into the locker room with a lead, 6-3. And quick scoring recap here. All the scoring took place in the first quarter. In fact, just less than a minute apart with 8:05 to go in the first quarter. Morgan Hagee hit a 43-yard field goal, giving the Quakers a 3-0 lead. And then on the ensuing possession, Mooresville took the lead when Alex Fabert completed a 61-yard pass to Swats for the touchdown, and then the extra point failed, bringing us to a current score of 6-3.
Yeah, I mean, when you look back, that loss of that PAT could come back to be a big factor in the second half. But let's go and recap a little bit of what happened in the first half. I mean, you talked about it. So far, it's been like Plainfield hasn't really been able to move the ball much offensively, but at the same time, their defense has remained stout against that throwing attack from Faber and the Mooresville Pioneers.
Yeah, and it goes back to something I said in the pregame. While Niswander has not been spectacular by any means, still no interceptions. Now Plainfield did have that one interception on the fake that was thrown by Dayton Clements. But Niswander, he's been smart. He hasn't tried to go overboard and play beyond his capabilities. And furthermore, the Morgan Hagee's punted very well. The Pioneers have not had good field position all game, and they've been forced to throw a lot. Now, granted, they do have, a gunslinging quarterback, but, they're putting him in a lot of high-pressure situations where they know he's going to throw, and they can give better coverage downfield. So, that's helped the Quakers stay in the game.
And we talked that this Plainfield team typically relies on their rushing attack. We see it, in their basic formation. They always come out in the I formation. They're going to look to try and do their best to run the ball. But when your top two running backs have both been injured within the first couple of weeks, it's not necessarily a very good sign for Plainfield going forward. If you're Coach Woodard, do you switch anything up?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors, but obviously, you have to have somebody, who's able to get in and do the things that that you were looking to get from Maple, or at least make some other adjustments. Now, a couple of years ago, they had the great Austin Blevins at running back who, is practically the entire focal point of the offense. He graduated, and they went to a much more passing-oriented offense last year with quarterback Brady Nichols, who's now playing collegiately, I think, at Franklin. They actually had a 3-to-1 rush-pass ratio 2 years ago. Last year it was down to 2-1, and this year it's back up to 3-1, coming into this game. But now with their top running back, out, although it looks like they will have him back soon, but yeah, they are going to have to either establish a better passing game or find somebody who can step in and get you some yards on the ground.
Yeah, and you talked about Coy Anderson stepping in. Definitely has the speed, but maybe not necessarily the power they're used to from their running game.
Yeah, he's not a power runner at all. He's very persistent. He looks around for the hole. He doesn't always find it, but when he does find it, he can make you pay. And he's a relentless competitor, as we've seen not only on his rushes but on his punt returns. He's the type of guy who'll circle around 465 to try to get a couple extra yards. So definitely he's someone who's shown a lot of promise, and he's only a junior, so they'll have him back another year, and they probably need to get him in the weight room and get him a little more power because he's pretty slightly built.
Well, for right now, we'll go ahead and take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the early scores from around Central Indiana and the rest of the state, and we'll come back with some halftime adjustments. You're listening to AudioSportsOnline.com coverage of Plainfield High School football.
When I'm your age, I'm going to say, you believe I'm still coaching softball?
You know, they ain't too many softballs around.
Welcome back to Plainfield High School, where Mooresville High School Pioneers are up over Plainfield 6-3 at the half. Let's go and take a look at some of the other scores from around the state. In the second quarter, Munster East Central leads Anderson 28-0. Heritage Christian thus far blanketing Anderson Prep Academy 27-0. Beech Grove and Speedway, the two suburbs, if you will, playing a good one. 22-14 is the score in the second. Ben Davis thus far shutting out Pike 21-0. Ben Davis has been thus far dominant on the year, ranked number 23rd in the country. I was hoping Pike, who had also had been having a good year up to the first 2 weeks, would have been putting up more of a fight than that. The Brownsburg Bulldogs lead Franklin Community 17-14 in the second quarter. The one matchup that a lot of people have their eye on, the Carmel Center Grove matchup, is all tied at 7 in the second quarter. The Chittard Bishop Chatard leads Roncalli 7-0 in the second quarter. Roncalli will be here at Plainfield next week. Trinity Lutheran is leading Edinburgh 8-0 in the first. Hamilton Southeastern trails Avon 17-3 in the second quarter. That's a big score.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that Hamilton Southeastern is coming off that big win against North Central.
And Avon coming off that big loss to Ben Davis.
Yeah. So Avon's definitely recovering. Junior Brandon Peters, I'm sure, is doing a good job in that one if the score is 17-0 so far. Lawrence Central leads the Lawrence North 21-6 in the second quarter. Lebanon up 2-0 over Tri-West. So that's an interesting score in the first quarter.
Yeah, of course, Lebanon only beat Mooresville a couple weeks ago 7-0, so it's obviously, of course, they lost their starting quarterback, Isaac Harker, last year. He's now playing at Indiana State.
Another mid-state matchup. Greenwood leads Martinsville 7-0 in the first quarter. Noblesville and Fishers are all tied up at 6 apiece in the second. And that's about all the local scores, shall we say, in Central Indiana. There's a couple of other scores, but we'll continually look into that and see if there's any other big developments throughout the night. Well, let's go talk a little bit more about this game, Lek. So far, a good one, 6-3, very low-scoring affair.
Yeah, the key for one thing, like I said, Mooresville, they've had bad starting field position. And then Plainfield, they were already playing without their superstar running back, Jacob Maple, had 1,300 yards and, I believe, 13 touchdowns last season. Now they lose their the leading running back that they had left, John Finch, on the first play from scrimmage. So they just, are out of sync, understandably. So they're just going to have to find something that works, to get something going offensively. And they even tried that trick play, Dayton Clements, on the handoff through that pass. It was a nice try, but it was an interception. And on the other hand, that was the
only play that really led to a Mooresville score.
Yeah, and then obviously Alex Favorite for Mooresville. He's not at all shy about throwing deep. He's thrown deep several times. He's already has he has 159 yards. I've got him 8 of 15 with for 159 there in the first half. That's basically 20 yards of completion. But he's thrown nearly half of his passes were either incomplete or intercepted as well. And he was put in a lot of situations where it was 3rd and long, so they knew he was likely going to throw, and they were able to put a lot of pressure on his receivers. So they've done a good job. I know he's got 159 yards, but they've contained him relatively well, all things considered.
Well, if you're the coach for either side in the locker room, let's start with Plainfield. What were you saying to your squad?
Well, I think you've just got to tell them to everybody's got to step your game up a notch. You got your top 2 running backs out now. Everybody has to pick up the slack a little bit. And then, also you got to see if there's anything you can get going with the passing offense, anything that'll stop. Because you look, for example, like you mentioned Coy Anderson. He's a guy who's, doesn't really have a lot of power. But if they could get, if they could compete 2 or 3 passes, get a little more defensive attention, then that might help open some holes for a guy like Coy Anderson who has a lot of speed.
And vice versa, if you're Mooresville, what kind of halftime adjustments are you trying to make?
Well, for one, I think you got to do your best to get better field position. If Mooresville had the kind of field position in the first half that Plainfield did, I think Mooresville would probably have 2 or 3 touchdowns by now. But the thing is, they've largely been forced to work up from deep in their own territory. So that's the main thing. And then I think just also, as far as defense, just keep clamping down and shutting down their rushing game and forcing them to go to the air, which clearly they're not as comfortable doing coming into today. Like I said, the 3-to-1 3-to-1 rush pass ratio for Plainfield.
Well, it should be an interesting second half. This is a big time, a little bit of a rivalry game here in the Mid-State.
Yeah.
So, both of these teams are, they come in almost evenly matched with, obviously 1-1 records, but they're both looking to have good seasons and improve on what was otherwise not necessarily the best season from last year.
Yeah, and Plainfield really, they started off with a lot of high expectations. They had just done the reclassification, and Plainfield was actually they had the largest enrollment of any school in Class 4A. So they looked poised for a deep tournament run, but, they had those injuries, like to Hagee, to Josh Miller. And then, they drew a very good Lebanon team in the first round. Like I said, Lebanon's quarterback from last season, Isaac Harker, now down the road at Indiana State, which has emerged as a top 25 1AA team in recent years.
Well, since you brought up Lebanon, I have to ask, you know a lot more about high school football and particularly the history of high school football than I do. I haven't been very impressed with the scores I've seen Lebanon put up thus far. We talked about the game for Mooresville, 7-0 loss. That's not necessarily a very good score in my book against a team like Mooresville.
Well, they had 2 devastating losses from last. They were lighting it up last year. I mean, they had 35 points, for example, in the playoff game I covered, in which they eliminated Plainfield 35-24. But they not only Isaac Harker, who was basically an option quarterback now at Indiana State, but also Jamison Wright. He had, I think, 16 or so touchdowns last season. So basically, they're replacing about 90% of their productivity and offense. Yeah,
so 2 players.
But, Kent Wright's been there about 14 years. He's been a consistent winner. So, give him a year or 2 to rebuild, and, he'll have the Tigers back on track. The only thing, I'll tell you one thing I hope he does is change their uniforms, because they have black uniforms with purple jerseys. Very hard to read the numbers.
As we get set for the second half, Plainfield will be kicking off since Mooresville deferred at the start. So Hagee will do the kickoff duties. Back deep to return is Zeke Odell, and check that. It is
another touchback for Hagee.
Odell, and it will be a touchback. So another touchback.
In Canadian football, I don't know if you knew this, but in Canadian football, when you get a touchback, that's 1 point for the kicking team.
Well, if that was the truth in the NFL, we'd see 70-point games every other week.
Yeah. But yeah, Hagee would have a couple extra points tonight. But now we'll see if Mooresville can get that 2-possession lead. Like I said, both teams have led once, both times by 3 points. And, last year, by the way, the average margin of victory in Indiana high school football, a whopping 24 points. It doesn't look like we're going to have anything close to that tonight.
Favorite will hand off to Westfall, and he'll get ahead to the left side on the cutback for call it a gain of 4. So that'll bring out 2nd and 6 for this Mooresville offense.
So, yeah, we'll see if they can avoid getting into another 3rd and long. That really plagued Favored and company there in the first half, and they're giving him Westfall credit for 5 yards there. He's now 5 rushes, 19 yards here.
3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Favorite will once again hand off to Westfall, who gets tackled almost immediately at the line of scrimmage. Great job that time on the penetration.
They were ready for him that time, yeah.
That's Jacob Morris, the 5'10", 260 junior for Plainfield.
So now this is a big 3rd down for the Pioneers. Want to avoid, the Quakers getting the ball back with a chance to take the lead.
And will throw, almost picked off, but
yeah, it was through the hands of the intended receiver.
The intended receiver that time was Derek Cox, but was played very well in the secondary. The DB had really an option, ball or player, and he went for the ball first and then the player.
Yeah, Derek Cox, by the way, 5 receptions, 112 yards in the first 2 games, but no receptions tonight yet. So the Pioneers 3 and out to start the second half, and now the Quakers will get the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Swats on to punt it away for Mooresville. And this one's a straight-ahead kick. Will take 1, 2, 3 bounces before Mooresville fields it at about the Plainfield 40. So no return that time from Coy Anderson.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, have we only had 1 punt return this whole game? We haven't had a lot.
I think Coy Anderson had 1, and Mooresville had 1.
Okay, well then there have been 2 then.
Mooresville had 1 early, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think Odell did have 1 return. At least for a couple of yards.
Yeah. All right, so now first look at second half for the Quaker offense.
2 receivers either side for Nicewinder under center. He'll pitch it out to the right side to Coy Anderson. He'll spin around and lose 1. Tackle made that time by Brian Strong, the 6', 190 junior linebacker for the Pioneers.
Yeah, Coy Anderson, 5'7", 170. And looks like they're going to give him credit for a 1 yard loss there on that play.
Well, it was an interesting, you do a little bit more pitching out. That might get Coy Anderson into some open space to be able to make some plays in the open field. That's typically where he's going to be better at, being the speedy back he is.
Yeah, he had 1 reception for 11 yards, so,
Nicewinder looks to throw, and it will be a flag.
Pass interference.
Early hit that time by Ross McDonald will draw the flags.
Clearly hit him before the ball arrived. Easy call. It's 9:53 to go here in the third quarter here at Plainfield. Your Quakers trailing the Mooresville Pioneers 6-3. Tell you, if the Pioneers win this game, JP, they will have won as many games this season as they won the last 2 years combined.
Yeah, we talked about it coming into this game. Pioneers, the last 2 years, have only had one win on each of their 2 seasons, but already have one win on the season thus far and trying to make it a second one here tonight.
Yeah, and of course now, after following that 15-yard pass interference penalty, the Quakers have the ball in great field position. See if they can take advantage this time. Once again, their top 2 running backs are out.
3 receivers now to the left side. Nicewinder in a little bit of a pistol formation. Coy Anderson takes it on the handoff, cuts back up the middle of the field with a little bit more room to work with that time. Fouls ahead all the way to the 39-yard line in Mooresville territory. So a good run that time by Coy Anderson, getting about 7 yards.
Found the hole, and they're marking him down at the 39, so that'll be a 6-yard gain. So Anderson 10 for 26 now. He was 10 for 20 coming into this game.
Zach Archer and Clayton White wide left. I formation, Nicewinder under center. Southwood the fullback. The quick play goes to Clayton White in the open field, and he'll be wrapped up for a possible gain of 1. We'll see where they spot it.
Yeah, I guess they'll count that because since he actually threw backwards, so that technically would be a rush there by Clayton White, which would be his first rush of the game, I believe, of the season.
So far, this Mooresville defense has been very impressive when they're in pursuit. Nicewinder will pitch it over to Coy Anderson, who looks to the left side and doesn't find much to work with, as he's brought down almost immediately after a very small gain by Brian Strong.
So I assume they will go for it here. I know Hagee's got a good leg. I don't think they would go for a field goal from here.
Well, Hagee is on the field. Could be a punt scenario. He's been pinning them deep in their own territory all day long.
That could be what they're
going
for.
They're actually going for a field goal.
This would be a 54-yarder.
Hagee gets himself lined up.
I don't know if it's that great, but we'll see.
This would tie the game up, but a very long field goal attempt. And
it's going to be close.
Just short.
That was real close, though.
It was on target, just didn't quite have the distance. Was about maybe 5 to 10 feet short.
Yeah, it was real close. I mean, I think from 50 yards it would have gone. But nevertheless, Coach Woodard showing a lot of confidence in that young man. So yeah, the longest attempt I've ever seen was Brandon Dowers of Brownsburg last year. They let him attempt a 58-yarder, and he was perhaps 5 yards short. It was a good effort. It was close enough to justify the attempt. Kickers just keep getting better, though, and
well, you see a lot of crossover from the soccer players and everything else.
Yeah. So now
turnover on downs for Plainfield. Mooresville takes it. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Looking to that left side is Favorite, and it'll be a tackle for a loss. The pass was received by Tyler Early, but Plainfield did a good job stuffing it out for either a no gain or a loss of 1.
They're calling it no gain, but
well, see, that's why they get paid the big bucks. I see a gain of 1, and it goes for no gain.
7:33 to go and counting. Now they're giving him credit for 1.
Faber looks to the left side, as his intended target at the 45 before he's brought down That is Ben Sharp on the reception. Great gain on the hookup from Faber to Sharp for about a gain of, call it 17.
Yeah, that was his biggest completion in a while. So now two completions in a row. They're going to give him credit for 26, by the way.
Two receivers to the right, one to the left. Handoff is faked and throwing once again in the open field. And hooking up once again with Ben Sharp is Faber. And that'll once again be a big-time gain in this passing attack from the Pioneers.
Yeah, and they're really starting to heat up. So three passes to start this drive, 3 completions now. That one for 23 yards. So Faber already over 200 for the game.
Faber once again in the shotgun. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. The last 2 passes have been to Ben Sharp on the left side. This one's a draw play to Westfall, who will plow ahead for, call it, a gain of 5 to bring out 2nd and 5. Ball will be placed on the Plainfield 26.
So Faber now really starting to get into the groove here. 3 consecutive completions, drew some attention away from the rushing game, and they were able to get Westfall there for a little
high
bit there.
snap. Faber has trouble. Will find Westfall trying to get something out of nothing, and he'll be tackled in the backfield for a loss by Dayton Clemens, who has been very active today for this Plainfield defense.
Well, he completed that one, but this time it was for a loss, so that will bring up 3rd and long.
So that'll bring out 3rd and 11 for Mooresville. 3 receivers to the left, 1 for the right on Faber. Faber looks to that right side, has his receiver wide open for the touchdown, and he'll just be able to fall in. That's Riley Swaits on the touchdown reception from Faber.
So, yeah, that's Swats with his 2nd touchdown of the game. He has 3 receptions, 132 yards, having an incredible game. So, Faber really came alive, 5 for 5 on that drive. And now there's that 2-possession lead I talked about finally. We get it a little over at the midway point of the 3rd quarter.
Jacob Perkins on the fake, looks for the receiver and unable to hook up on the fake.
That was the first score, by the way, in more than 2 quarters.
That was Davius Masayo on the fake. So it'll go down as a failed 2-point conversion, and Plainfield will receive it on the kickoff.
So Alex Faber is as good as advertised. As so far tonight, 13 for 21, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, although both interceptions come with an asterisk.
Yeah, one was at the end of the half when it was just a Hail Mary attempt. Really wasn't going to hurt anything.
Yeah, and then the first one was off
a bobble on it off his receiver's hand.
Yeah.
So neither one was really his fault.
Right. So, I think he was literally perfect on that drive, 5 for 5. Incredible.
About the only bad play for Mooresville on that drive was the little bit of a failed attempt that ended up having to be a little pitch out to Westfall.
Yeah, they lost 5 on the play, but they, it was all for naught for Plainfield because the Pioneers got the score on the next play.
Jacob Perkins on to kick it away for Mooresville. He's been a very, very he hasn't been able to really get much into his kick so far on the night.
Yeah.
Coy Anderson back to return.
Another very weak kick.
This time Plainfield looked like they were expecting it. And it'll be a gain of minimal, call it maybe 7 or 8 on the gain.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things that Mooresville's really going to have to work on the most, finding a kicker, because all 3 of Perkins' kicks have gone almost exactly the same spot, just inside the 30.
That's not a very good spot.
No, I mean, there are games you will lose, because of that. I mean, probably not this one, but others, yes.
12-3 is the score. 5:52 left to go in the third. Mooresville is leading Plainfield. Plainfield with the ball and driving from their own 36-yard line. Nicewinder takes it, looks left, and finds Coy Anderson, who is tackled as soon as he takes the reception. Tackle made that time by Drake Bevan.
Well, they got the completion, but, they got a loss, and now they've got, to make matters worse, the clock's still ticking. So they have they need 2 scores now, which, granted they have nearly a quarter and a half, but without, a solid offense, when you get your top 2 running backs out, it is not easy.
Looks like Nicewinder will look to throw a little bit more now, trailing. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. And just as I say that, they'll hand off to Coy Anderson for a, once again, negative yardage play. So Anderson not able to get much of anything going on the ground. And that'll bring out 3rd and long.
Yeah, another dreaded 3rd and long. And we apologize if the helicopter is too loud, but it's always welcome whenever they visit us. It certainly, makes you feel like your game is important when the
news crews.
Yeah, when they drop in on you.
2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Nicewinder once again in the shotgun. Fakes the handoff to Anderson, rolls out right, looking downfield, looking, and looks for his check down, but still unable to make the play. Was Nicewinder. His intended target that time was Zach Archer.
So despite the good field position, 3 and out for the Quakers, and I'll tell you, I don't know if I would keep on giving it to Anderson now. I mean, 12 carries, 25 yards. That's just over 2 a carry.
Well,
which, he was 10 of 20 coming into this game. Maybe they ought to try some of the other options.
Well, we've talked about Southwood being an option for him, but the problem is when you have him in the fullback spot, when you're down as far as you are at this point, you almost got to look for something else other than your fullback.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
This time, Hagee's punt takes a favorable Mooresville bounce after it hits at about the 37, bounces about to the 39. We'll see exactly where they spot it, but Mooresville this time has decent field position.
Yeah, they do, and, of course, last time they started at the 20, and, Favorite 5 for 5, as they rolled to the touchdown. Let's see if they have a repeat. If they get a 3-possession lead, then it is hard to imagine Plainfield coming back to win this game.
3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left for Mooresville. Favorite takes it, looks to that right side, finds his man in the open field. That's Derek Cox, who just kind of falls. He will have it on the reception.
So Favorite now completed his last 6 passes. He's on fire.
Call it the gain of that one on 11.
Who was the receiver there?
It was Derek Cox.
Cox, okay. Yeah, that was his first, by the way.
Faked the run. This pass intended for Cox is no good.
Yeah, Cox actually was the team's, coming into this game, he was the team's second leading receiver with 5 for 112, including 1 touchdown. But that was his first reception. I think that was the second ball thrown at him all night, if I'm not mistaken. But that last incompletion, by the way, broke a streak of 6 consecutive completions for Favorite.
And Favorite did hit Cox right on the numbers. He was unable to haul it in from his breadbasket.
So 2nd and 10 now, 3:56 to go, 3rd quarter.
Ben Sharp and Mord wide to the left. Handoff is faked. And on the rollout, that'll be a fumble. I'm not sure if Plainfield recovered it.
Yeah, they did, but no, I'm sorry, the Pioneers recovered it, but yeah. They did the
backwards pass, the early.
Yeah, several of the Pioneers apparently did not realize that was a rush because it was thrown backwards. So Tyler Early did get his hands on it, saving Plainfield from being an excellent field position.
Plainfield could have really used that to get some momentum going.
Indeed, yes.
3 receivers to the right. Favorite takes it, looks, throws in the middle of the field.
Did he get
and finding his target was Ben Sharp.
Okay.
I see one ref is waving it off. I thought he had it.
I thought too, and that would have been an amazing catch because there were 4 guys on him.
Because he got hit as soon as he caught it. But it will be an incomplete pass, and that'll bring out 4th down. And Swans will come on to punt for Mooresville.
For a guy, who never is only only starting the 3rd game of his career, Favorite is just fearless out there, showing tremendous confidence.
Well, when you have a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
And that one almost blocked by Plainfield. Anderson will call the fair catch. He
They
fouls
left
it.
But Plainfield,
It-
well,
I thought it touched Mooresville after it was bobbled, but Plainfield will recover it at the 20. Anderson called for the fair catch, but was unable to haul it in.
yeah, he muffed it. So
At this point, it's dark. You can't really blame the sun.
yeah, maybe the light got in his eyes. I don't know, because those Friday night lights can be pretty bright too.
Maybe it was sweat. I'll tell you what, up here in the press box, it feels like it's about 120.
Yeah, it's like a sauna up here. There's a little bit of a breeze coming through now, but
See,
yeah.
this is just part of my weekly exercise program. Just sit in a hot press box on these hot and humid August and September nights for Friday night football.
Oh, and last season especially, I remember. Hold that thought till I just play.
The handoff goes straight ahead to Southwood. Or check that, it was fake to Southwood, and on the quarterback keeper, Nicewinder will rush ahead for call it 6.
So there's Nicewinder on the keeper there.
Correct, the fake handoff. I thought it had a Southwood, so I wasn't following the ball. I'd be a very bad defensive player at this point.
Yeah.
2 receivers to the left for Plainfield. That would be Clayton White and Zach Archer.
That was Nicewinder's third rush of the game, by the way. He has 17 yards on the ground now.
A little bit of equipment trouble there on the offensive line. Lineman had to retie his shoe. Jacob Spray. Nicewinder now goes under center, I formation. Motion man is White from left to right. Now he'll come back to the left side. Nicewinder will fake the handoff once again on the quarterback keeper and plow ahead.
Got the
For
first.
the first down and maybe a couple more. Probably a gain of, call it 3.
A much needed first down. Oh, by the way, update: Tri-West now leads Lebanon 3-2. And no, that's not baseball. That's football.
That's almost a volleyball set score or a boys tennis match score. 3-2. Don't see too many safeties. You don't see that in any, high school football, college football, or NFL.
I think in 2 years I've had 2 safeties in all the games I've
Handoff goes to Southwood, who plows his way ahead for, call it, a gain of 5. So Plainfield still sticking to their guns and rushing the ball, but the clock continues to tick. Now 2 minutes left in the third. They trail Mooresville 12-3.
Southwood, that was his first. They're giving him credit for 4. He has 6 carries now, 17 yards.
A split I formation in the backfield this time. Handoff is straight ahead. I'm not sure which player it went to. It looks like it went to Southwood. So
Yeah,
he'll
get
get
much.
ahead to call it a gain of another 4. So that'll bring out third and call it 1.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really hurt Plainfield this game. They've had too many rushes for little or no gain, or even a loss.
Well, typically you see the run set up the pass, but the pass game has not been working for Plainfield so far in this one. They have Clayton White and Zach Archer both to the left,
Little movement on
and
line,
a
we
little
got a
bit of
flag.
movement. Not sure if the wide receivers force the offensive line to move or the offensive line force the wide receivers to move. Either way, it'll back up and negate the last gain from Southwood. So Plainfield will back it up 5 yards.
Ben Davis leading Pike 28-0. 28-14, 28-14 at the half.
I think that's one of the games that we're doing in the Pick'em Challenge between me and Chris Worley for the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show. I believe he picked Ben Davis in that one. I was foolish enough to take Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I got Carmel and Center Grove, though, so that'll be my saving grace. And then we also did the Avon game. So
Well, Chris, I commentated the Brownsburg Lawrence North game with Chris last week, and I think he was impressed because he was coming off seeing Pike thoroughly destroy Brownsburg back in week 1, so that probably influenced his pick. Although we did get, I think we gave 4 or 5 updates on the Avon Ben Davis game during that game.
Let's go and thank some more of our sponsors. The Three Pints Brew Pub is an excellent place for great food. They offer craft drink selections brewed on site. It features a family-friendly dining experience and would make a great destination for your next experience. They are located at 5020 Cambridge Way in Plainfield. For more information about menu and drink selections, call 829-1000. The hours are Sunday and Monday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Tuesday and Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12:30. I'm guessing a.m. Gary Digital is a full-service, state-of-the-art digital printing from business cards to banners. They have a multi-year provider of senior posters at the south end of the field. Their address is 2701 Fortune Circle East in Indianapolis. They're open weekdays from 7 to 7. Call them directly at 317-227-0220 for more information. So it'll be third and call it 6. This third quarter has gone by extremely quickly. Already down to 58 seconds.
Yeah, not a lot of incomplete passes. That's the thing. You know, of course, Favored, especially in that one drive, he was perfect 5 for 5 as the Pioneers, you know, made it look businesslike.
I had to stare at that scoreboard for 10 seconds. I couldn't believe it. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Archer and White to the left. Dante Keys wide right. Man in motion is White. Nicewinder takes it. He looks left. Looks for his
open.
Man and unable to haul in. And a flag on the play. The intended target was Zach Archer. That's a tough call going against Mooresville. Ross McDonald on the cover. So this could be his second pass interference play of the game. I thought it was a good hit. Like, I thought he hit it right when the ball got there, but the ref saw it otherwise. But there's also a holding play on Plainfield, so that just negates either play. So it'll be offsetting penalties. Had to think of the word.
So will that mean loss of down or replay of down?
Replay.
Okay. That's good for Plainfield because otherwise they'd be fourth down. As it is 3rd and 6. So 3rd and 6 might as well be 3rd and long for Plainfield.
Dante Keys and Clayton White ride to the right. Zach Archer wide left. Nicewinder will take it, and flags fly once again. Ball start on the offense, and that'll back Plainfield up even more. The penalties have really hurt Plainfield in this one.
Yeah, this is one of the most penalized games I have ever commentated.
I'm glad I'm not keeping... For as long as the stats are going, I am not keeping penalties.
Yeah, that's one stat I have never kept in my life.
I have it on my paper, but I don't think I'd be able to keep track of it, especially with as many as we've had today.
Oh, yeah. Well, 52.5 seconds to go, third quarter. Plainfield needs something that they need to make up 2 scores, and without a lot of offensive power.
Nicewinder looks, pressure in his face, will look to dump off to Anderson. Anderson has room to run, gets the first down and more before he's brought down at about the 49 of Plainfield. So that'll be a nice gain and move the chains that time for the Quakers.
That was a huge, huge, huge play for the Quakers. It's hard to overstate how important that play was. And now Anderson, he hasn't rushed well, but he does have 3 receptions for 27 yards. So now let's see, we've got under center, Nicewinder with an I formation, 2 receivers up to the right, takes it. He hands off to Anderson, who gets up the middle for about 5. So coming off that 16-yard reception, Coy Anderson now gets something up the middle too. And the Quakers are starting to show some signs of life on offense, so what will likely be the last play of the third quarter.
So the last play of the third quarter, Plainfield driving now, getting a little bit of momentum. So if they are able to score here, it'll make the game much more interesting in the fourth quarter. They trail right now by 9 to Mooresville. So once again, a very interesting quarter as Mooresville got the 6, was unable to convert on the 2-point conversion, and Plainfield once again held scoreless for a second straight quarter.
Yeah, and of course that was, the Mooresville touchdown, that beautiful 31-yard pass from Faber to Swatch. That was the first scoring in more than 2 quarters worth of play, and really broke the game open. But Plainfield now is driving. They have the ball in Pioneer territory, and they're starting to show some signs of life on offense. Coy Anderson starting to get a little bit going after that 16-yard reception, and then, a 5-yard rush on the last play. So perhaps the Quakers finally starting to adjust to, being without their two leading running backs. So now the Quakers have arrived on the field for to start the fourth quarter. We're still waiting on the Pioneers. And so now here they come too. So Mooresville, this would be a huge win for their program to go 2-1. Chad Dockery, certainly it was he inherited a rebuilding project, but being his third year, he is going to be under pressure to show some results, and certainly the team has shown some so far this year.
Split backs behind Nicewinder under center. Motion man is Clayton White. He goes all the way over to the right side. Handoff goes straight ahead to Southwood, who plows his way ahead for a big-time gain of about 10 yards. And that'll be enough to move the chain. So Plainfield getting a little bit of momentum here.
Yeah, like I was saying, they are finally starting to show some signs of life on offense. So they got another important first down there. How many yards was that for? Where were they when they started the quarter?
It was about 10 yards.
Okay. So
once again, split backs for Nicewinder. Two receivers either side. No handoff this time. Nicewinder keeps it, has pressure, rolls over to the left. He's going to try and run for a little bit of a gain.
Nice keeper there.
He'll get a gain of ahead for, I thought maybe 4, but maybe after they mark it, only 3.
Yeah, although that, nevertheless they got some positive yardage and they got out of bounds, which is important at this point. When you got 2 scores to make up and without, it's important if you can gain some yards without, and they give him credit for 3, by the way. So Nicewinder 5 for 22 on the ground. 11:31 to go. Fourth quarter.
I formation for Plainfield. 2 receivers go to the right. That would be Zach Archer and Dante Keys. Pitch out goes to Coy Anderson, who rushes ahead, spins out of 1 tackle, and gets ahead for...
And we got a late flag.
Gets ahead for, call it 5 on the play. And as you said, the late flag comes in. We'll see what the call is.
So Anderson, after that big 16-yard gain on that reception, now he...
Personal foul against Mooresville.
So that's huge. So that'll be 15 yards to the end of the run.
So that should be in the red zone, if I'm not mistaken.
So Anderson gained 5, and then they're going to, that'll put him all the way up to the 12, if my calculation is correct.
I trust your calculations a lot more than I trust mine, Luke. So it will go all the way down to, call it the Mooresville 19-yard line. Clock will now run. I formation once again. 2 receivers to the right. Motion man is Dante Keys from right to left. Nicewinder will hand off straight ahead to Southwood, who gets pushed back. Got maybe 1 on the play, if anything.
Yeah, with forward progress, he might have gotten 1, but that would be about it. So 10:58 to go and counting. That'll looks like they're gonna give him credit for no gain. Southwood's had a couple of good moments tonight, but they stuffed him there. So now 2nd and 10 at the Mooresville 13.
Keys and Archer wide right. Handoff fake to Coy Anderson. Nicewinder on the rollout. Looks into the end zone, and it'll be out of bounds.
Yeah.
Dangerous play right there is going to get the play. Going to get the ball. Dante Keys almost hit his head right on the golf cart parked right there at the end zone.
Yeah, he sure did. And now Nicewinder through the air, 7 of 14, 63 yards. But, one thing you got to, like if you're Brian Woodard, still almost 3 full games now, still no interceptions for Colin Nicewinder. He's, there was the reception by the interception by Dayton Clements on when they handed off to him, but Nicewinder, on the other hand, has been
Dante Keys, the motion man from right to left, remaining still is Archer on the right side. Handoff goes to Southwood, who gets ahead for maybe 2. So the drive by Plainfield really stalled right now.
Yep, you're right.
And that'll bring Hagee on to try his luck on the field goal.
Now, this will make it a one-possession game, so this is an important score if he hits it.
And this is well within his range.
Oh, yeah, easily. He nailed one from 43 a little while ago. This would be 28.
And barely missed the 54-yarder.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy, you can be sure he'll be playing collegiately a year from now somewhere.
Low snap. Kick is up. That would have cleared it from a long ways out.
So the Quakers are, within striking distance.
How long was that field goal?
28.
Thank you.
So Morgan Hagee accounting for all 6 of the Quaker points now. And, they trail 12-6.
You're still within striking distance, though.
Yeah, so it's basically the same. It's scoring, for both teams, basically. Mooresville 2 touchdowns from Faberts to Swats, and then Plainfield 2 field goals from Hagee.
Tell you what, the thing I've been most impressed with so far watching this game, I wasn't really too sure what to expect from Mooresville. But I'll tell you what, Fabert, I would be expecting to hear his name called on Sundays, and we're not talking Division II, we're talking Division I.
Pardon me?
Fabert, I can definitely see him as a good-time Division I prospect.
Oh, me too, yeah. And, the way that, I covered Mooresville last year when they hosted Decatur Central, lost 55-14. And that team versus this team, it is night and day. I barely recognize it.
Odell and Davios.
So you got to give not only Favorite, but also head coach Chad Dockery for getting these kids to believe that they can win. They, like I said, they nearly beat Lebanon the first week. They did beat Bowman Academy last week. Now they have a good chance to beat Plainfield tonight. That's a dramatic improvement.
Hagee.
And now Hagee on the kickoff.
A little bit of an onside kick. I don't know if that could.
Oh yes.
Plainfield
they got
recovers.
It. Oh my God. They caught him asleep.
I wasn't sure if that was really an onside kick because of how far it went. I thought he was kind of pooching it, but Plainfield was able to recover.
Yeah.
So a great onside kick by Hagee and a great recovery on the play by Clayton White.
Bold move by Brian Woodard, but it was worth taking as much as they struggle on offense. So now, believe it or not, the Quakers have the ball only 34 yards away from taking the lead. What a crazy game. Looking around the scoreboard, a lot of blowouts. We got a barn burner brewing here in Plainfield.
Tell you what, Clayton White is the most famous man on the sidelines right now for Plainfield.
Who is?
Clayton White, the man who recovered it.
Oh, yeah.
2 receivers to the right. Motion man is Dante Keys. Nightswinder under center. And the pitch out goes to Coy Anderson, and defense collapses. He looks to bounce it outside. Got a little bit of room to work. 30, stays on his feet, and gets to the 25. Great job by Coy Anderson to stay on his feet and plow ahead for the extra couple of yards to be close to that first down marker. I think he'll be shy of just about by a yard.
Yeah, they're going to mark him a yard short, but I'll tell you, ever since he had that 16-yard reception, he has looked different. He was really rejuvenated. Since then, he's had rushes of 5, 4, and now 9. So, Coy Anderson finally starting to get things going.
Keys on the near side. He's actually the motion man, too. Archer wide left. I formation, handoff to Southwood. He had a head of steam as he hit the line of scrimmage. He's still on his feet and still rushing ahead for extra yards.
Well, do you think maybe the Mooresville defense is wearing down a little bit?
I know I am. As hot as it is up here, I can imagine it down on the field.
Nevertheless, nice gain there by Tristan Southwood.
That'll be enough to move the chains.
By the way, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good.
Oh, yeah, down to south, our friends on Audio Sports Online, Brownsburg is leading Franklin 24-21, so the Bulldogs trying to get their second win in a row after that opening loss to Pike.
See, I did take Franklin Community in that one. Pass over to the left side and hitting him hard. Dante Keys had the reception, but he got walloped on the tackle right at his shins by David Masai.
Who got the reception there? Who was the receiver?
I think it was Archer. Let me check on that.
Yeah, Archer, that's it. And they're going to mark him, it looks like, for, I believe, no gain. Yeah.
No gain except some pain gain. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. 12-6 is the score. 8:14 left to go. Neiswinder in the shotgun. He looks right. Throws
again.
right. And that will be
Incomplete.
short.
8 for 16 now through the air.
That's a couple times we've seen Neiswinder when he goes to throw. He just does not get his pivot foot down when he goes to throw to that right side.
Well, it's not easy when you when you start when you have a guy who's in his first year as a starter. Last year we had Brady Nichols who was in his first year, but he was a senior who had paid his dues. Neiswinder, a junior, a little undersized at 5'10", 165, but he's got another year to grow and mature.
Dante Keys, the motion man. Other 2 receivers to the right side. Neiswinder takes it. Has pressure. Well, just
And he
throw
throws it away.
So
Carmel
that'll
and-
bring out 3rd down.
Carmel and Center Grove, by the way, tied at 7 at the half. So and Bishop Chatard in a battle of 2 of the dominant powerhouses in state history. Bishop Chatard leading Roncalli 14-0 at the half. So now a crucial 4th down. They're within Hagee's range, but they're going to go for a touchdown.
Keys wide to the right. 2 receivers to the left. Neiswinder has it in the shotgun. Looking.
Lots of time.
Gets feet. Rolls to the right. Has room. Still looking downfield. Will throw. And
Incomplete.
nice play from the Mooresville defender. Deflecting it away was Garrett Mimmer.
Yeah, so the onside kick recovery all for naught as Mooresville takes over on down, 7:51 to go. They lead by 6.
There is a flag down on the play. And it'll be against Plainfield, and that
Declined.
one will be declined. So, as my esteemed colleague said, turnover on downs, and Mooresville will take it with 7:51 left to go in the 4th quarter. They lead by 6.
And the Operation Football app, by the way, they're still behind. They're still showing this game as 12-3. So,
Well, you can just push the button that says submit score, and I'm sure it'll update. I will say that is my favorite app for Friday nights.
oh, I love it, yeah. And Fishers leads Noblesville, by the way, at the half, 16-6. And looking for my alma mater, Madison, on here. Haven't seen their score posted. They're usually very bad in football, by the way.
Well, so is my alma mater in Broad Ripple, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least you got David Letterman.
And George Hill.
Who's that?
George Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Flag flies at the end of the play.
Wayne Gretzky, too.
Really?
He attended Broad Ripple while he was playing for the Indianapolis Racers briefly.
I did not know that. I knew Roosevelt Colvin, I knew George Hill, and I knew David Letterman.
Mike Woodson, too.
And
Mike
Mike
Woodson.
Woodson. I didn't know that one. So we'll see what the call is on the flag.
But, yeah, do you know the story of Gretzky playing for Indianapolis?
I'd be honest,
Okay.
I'd be remiss in saying if I didn't even know he lived or played in Indianapolis.
Oh, well, there was we had the Indianapolis Racers hockey team from 74 to 79 in the old WHL. Gretzky played the first 8 games of his pro career with the Racers, and they traded him to the Edmonton Oilers, who joined the NHL a year later. So that's our tie to pro hockey. Just like our tie to Major League Baseball, Hank Aaron began his career here with the Indianapolis Clowns, an old Negro Leagues team. That was his first pro team.
Did not know that one either.
I use it to help people here feel better about not having the NHL or Major League Baseball.
I sometimes do wish Indianapolis had their own MLB team, but I will say this: Victory Field is still one of my favorite places to go, and I won tickets to go see any Indians game at all this summer, and me and my wife still have not gone.
Yeah, I love Victory Field. Sports Illustrated several years ago voted it the best minor league park in America.
I can see why. It's a very, very beautiful field.
Yeah, and they let you bring in your own food and drinks, too. That's cool.
So the penalty will back Mooresville up. Still a little bit of confusion from the refs about if it was a loss of down or not.
Yeah, it's showing 1st and 13 on the scoreboard.
Well, that is not correct. It should be either 1st and 5 or 2nd and 5.
Nevertheless, Mooresville continues their tradition of bad field position. They've overcome it enough to keep they trailed for less than a minute of the game.
So it'll be 1st and 15 on the 11 for Mooresville. Favorite takes it, looks to the right side, and he'll get all that back in one big play. As the pass to Swats is completed by Favorite. And that'll either be back, that should be back to the original line of scrimmage. So it'll be 2nd and 10.
And they're gonna give him credit for
Favorite takes it, looks over to the left side as his man in the open field, speeding ahead for a big gain after the
nice
catch.
Nice by Early, yeah.
Was Early. Great yak on that play. And that will move the chains. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Mooresville on their own 34-yard line.
Yeah, 265 yards through the air for Alex Favorite. And I think any question about his legitimacy as a quarterback has, been thoroughly obliterated tonight.
Handoff this time goes to Westfall, who rushes ahead for a gain of 4. Check that, call it 3.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're Mooresville head coach Chad Dockery, you just gotta. Your strategy at this point has to be just move the clock, move the chains.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
So they're going to give Westfall credit for 4 yards there. It's had a quiet game so far.
Sharp and Moore wide to the left for Favorite once again in the shotgun. Westfall stands to his right. Favorite looks, finds his man in the open field, and brought down after the big gain. Reception made by Early. And the tackle was made by Mark Dahm.
Yeah, so that'll be a 29-yard. That'll be a 29-yard reception. So now Favorite closing in on 300 yards.
I don't think I can get that in Madden.
Yeah, it's 6:15 to go now and counting here. Fourth quarter, time running out on the Quakers. They need a stop.
Favorite takes, looks to the right side, has his man at about the line of scrimmage, and whistles will blow the play dead. So that pass will be complete to
Swats again.
Swats for a 0-yard gain.
Nevertheless, 4 completions in a row there for Favorite.
The clock is not on Plainfield's side as it continues to tick. Now 5:45 left to go in the fourth. 12-6 is the score in favor of Mooresville.
Yeah, following that, no yards on the play, but the clock keeps moving.
Favorite in the shotgun. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Favorite looks. Pressure comes. Helmets fly. Looking downfield.
Did he get it?
And it's caught for the touchdown on an amazing play to Swats.
Oh, my God, 33 yards to Ben Swats.
And no flag on the play. The Plainfield defender was playing the play the whole time, never even saw the ball, and Swats was able to time it perfectly to haul it in.
Well, here are the numbers on Alex Faber, 19 for 29, 327 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
And Swats is a little shaken up on the play.
Well, he showed a lot of toughness making the catch. He was well covered. There was no lack of defensive effort there on Plainfield.
Well, while we have a moment, let's take a second to thank some more of our sponsors. If you're a business owner with or without employees, you're probably wondering about your payroll. What about taxes, child support, auditing, Social Security? It can be a bit overwhelming, but we've got the answer for you. The Payroll Department Incorporated. The Payroll Department Incorporated can help put your mind at ease where all these problems are concerned. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years, call today at 852-2568 or stop by the Payroll Department Incorporated, 701 North Green Street in Brownsburg. We also want to thank our friends at Dugan Chevrolet, Dugan Sports Performance, and Jimmy Johns for sponsoring tonight's broadcast. Thank you for supporting Plainfield football. Thanks to our friends at the Hendricks County Flyer that have helped make tonight's video webcast possible. Please check them out online as well as watch tonight's game at flyergroup.com. Motion 360 by Hendricks Regional Health provides care for the way you were meant to move. We care for every muscle, bone, and joint in your body to get you back to the activities you love. Get more information online at motion360.org. Established in 1882 as Harris Bank and owned by BMO Financial Group since 1984, as Swait is able to get back on his feet, and he hears it from the Mooresville faithful, faithful from across the way. BMO Harris Bank has grown to become one of the largest banks in the Midwest, serving personal, commercial, and affluent customers. They are located in Plainfield at 2609 East Main. For more information, call them at 839-3501. Rhodes and Kinsey LLP and CPAs, financial advisors in business since 1990. They handle individual and business tax and accounting work. Located at 8315 West 10th Street in Indianapolis, you can call them at 271-1040 to set up an appointment. So last time, after the score, Mooresville went for the 2-point conversion. A little bit of a faked PAT. It wasn't a full-on 2-point conversion, but this time it will be, as Favorite's in there. Favorite takes it, and he'll roll left, toss it up, and getting it on the 2-point conversion reception. I still can't see who it is.
That was Arthur.
It's Ben Sharp.
Excuse me. It was
Ben Sharp on the
Sharp,
reception.
yeah.
I swear I'm not that blind, folks. I just have a wall in front of me on that end zone. 20-6 is the score. 5:22. It might be too little, too late for Plainfield to make a comeback now, Leck.
Well, I'll tell you, with their offense being as limited as it is, especially through the air, it is really hard to imagine any reasonable scenario in which they score 2 touchdowns and 5:22. It can be done, but it's a very tall order. They would need some extraordinary occurrence to get back and win this game. But, it has not been a lack of effort. The players have played with a lot of heart. They just have been shorthanded, and it's shown.
Let's take a quick second to thank a couple more of our sponsors. Copyco Office Solutions is a local Xerox dealership. We sell and service copiers and printers and provide a wide variety of technology solutions, providing and supporting all your business technology needs. Copyco is located at 2920 Fortune Circle West, Suite C. Call 241-5800 or stop by Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
By the way, update on your alma mater, Broad Ripple. They
I don't want to hear it. It's going to be bad.
Right. Yeah,
how bad is it?
You're 41-8 to Lapel.
There you go.
And
Lapel, that's up by, that's on the north side of the state, right?
I'm not really sure where Lapel is. That's a good question. It's like I remember last year.
No, Lapel's off of State Route 13.
Okay.
So, I was thinking of La Paz. That's up by US 6.
Oh, right, yeah. Another one I'm looking for, and I'll hold that thought till after this play. But so now let's see if Plainfield,
The kickoff is a little bit longer that time, but still short, and fielded by Plainfield, who rushes ahead.
They got something
to
here.
The 35. The carry was made by Dante Keys, the wide receiver, 5'10", 175. He's the sophomore.
I was also looking to see what Harrison is doing, because they have the longest losing streak active in the state right now at 38.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Weren't they in Mid-State? No, they were in
They
ACC.
were in Hoosier Crossroads,
Yeah.
but they moved to the North Central this year, which means they're almost certain to break their losing streak because North Central is much, much weaker than Hoosier Crossroads.
Yeah, the Lafayette School is abandoning the HCC this year.
Yeah, it was just the best interest of all parties that they did for a lot of reasons. So now, back to action here. Nicewinder.
Nicewinder will hand off to Coy Anderson, who spins ahead, still on his feet. Big time gain. Call it a
So
gain
Anderson
of
breaks
13.
through for his biggest gain so far.
He did a good job dancing and then hit the hole hard and still continued to spin around in the open field. So a gain of 13 from Coy Anderson on the ground. That'll bring out 1st and 10 for Plainfield on their own 48.
So Anderson's really starting to get something going here. He's had some nice moments here in the second half.
Nicewinder was...
Yeah,
That's a broken play.
That was just weird.
Nicewinder looked to be handing the ball off, but the running backs were not there to receive
He
it.
stood there for 2 or 3 seconds like he was waiting for somebody. So apparently some miscommunication. Now he looks over to the sideline.
Because the running backs obviously thought it was a pass play. And
Is that Woodard there, right there?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, so there's some communication between Nicewinder and Woodard, I think, and as he goes down for a 6-yard loss there. Now fakes the handoff.
So that one was a deliberate fake.
Goes deep for the first time. There could be, there's a pass interference penalty.
And that's a tough one. I thought the feet just kind of got tangled there between Dante Keys and the defender.
Well, nevertheless, welcome break for the Quakers. Got 4:17 to make up 14 points here, so they have to have 2 touchdowns. And that's just one time when, if you're playing field, you wish that it were a spot foul like it is in the NFL rather than the 15 yards.
Either way, if you're playing field, you take it.
Yeah, no, definitely. You move the chains and you stop the clock. But that was, correct me if I'm wrong, JP, that's the deepest that Nicewander's thrown all game.
I don't think you're wrong, so I can't correct you. 3 receivers to the right on the right hash mark, so that's where most of the open field lies for the Quakers.
Ben Davis leading Pike 34-21.
Nicewinder takes it, looks for Keys, bobbled up.
That was dangerous, nearly
and
intercepted.
Almost intercepted, but it'll go for a no reception, no gain.
So Nicewander's last 4 passes now incomplete. So 4:12 to go here. Score, Mooresville 20, Plainfield 6. A new star has been born tonight in Alex Fabert. Outstanding junior quarterback for the Pioneers.
3 receivers to the left. Same basic setup in the pistol this time for Nicewinder. He'll hand off to Coy Anderson. He'll
So another nice
plow
run
ahead
for
for
Anderson.
some nice gain. The defense was there and had him lined up, just unable to make the play.
So Anderson, starting to get some confidence here. He's had several big moments here in the second half.
Clock continues to roll. 3:55 left to go.
So they're going to give him credit for 8 on that one. He's up to 65 yards now on 17 carries, so he's now up nearly 4 yards a carry. So you got to give credit to Coach Woodard for sticking with Anderson.
This time they fake it to Anderson. Nicewinder has the pressure in his face, has blocking.
Wow.
Still on his feet. And Mooresville picked it off. So Mooresville will take possession. Nicewinder had good blocking ahead of him and did a good job not crossing the line of scrimmage, but at the same time, you almost want to see him take that one down and just run for what you can.
Yeah, and I believe, see, had he thrown an interception this game? Nicewinder. I know that Clements threw the one.
No, because
Okay.
that was Clemens. And Clemens was the only one that threw the interception for Plainfield. Plainfield
so-
has had 2 takeaways, but
Yeah, so 2 interceptions by each team, although that's the first interception this season for Colin Nicewander. So, I mean, to have only 1 in your first 3 games in your first season as starter is not bad. He has not made mistakes, and of course, obviously, there was a time when they needed to take some chances. So
and
now-
the handoff will go to Westfall, who will just plow his way ahead for a gain of, call it 2, to keep the clock moving.
So Mooresville, now I think their strategy has to be just, don't do anything fancy. You got the firm grip on this game, and so don't do anything you don't need to do.
And I doubt Plainfield will use their 2 timeouts, being down as far as they are with only 3 minutes left to go in this one. So Mooresville will be able to do their best to kind of get that first down and drain as much clock as possible.
Yeah, I expect to, use as much of the time, as much of the play clock as they can. It's down to 5 seconds.
Favorite takes it, looks to the left, has his man in the open. That's Ben Sharp on the reception
It's going to be
for a
close to
gain
the
of,
first.
call it 5. Actually called a gain of 6.
So they're going to give him credit for Sharp. Sharp's had a quiet game. It's funny to say quiet game because he's had 87 yards through the air, but it was Swats who got the touchdowns.
Well, those are the ones that people remember.
That's right. 333 yards now for Fabert.
Wow. 2 receivers either side. Favorite will take it himself on the quarterback keeper and plow ahead for the first down.
And, Fabert coming into this game, like I said, 14 carries for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's barely run the ball tonight. He hasn't had to.
Almost wouldn't mind seeing if they had one long one that just happened to be a big breakaway.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going to get him for
Quick timeout. by Plainfield, I believe.
I believe so because Mooresville's still showing the scoreboard. The scoreboard still shows Mooresville with all three.
I thought Plainfield already used one.
Oh, they're actually going to do a measurement.
Well, they're measuring it. That's what it is.
Okay.
Well, the clock had stopped, and we wondered what the stoppage was. So
yeah, this is the first measurement of the game.
And it will be short by a few inches.
No, they're going
Or
to.
I'm sorry, it's good. First
So
down.
that will Fabert now 2 yards there. So he's had a very quiet rushing game, but he certainly, hasn't been needed on the ground. He's done so well through the air.
That was not very smart by me. So after the measurement, Mooresville has the first down. They should be able to run out the rest of the clock at this point.
And I'm pretty sure, by the way, this is the most that I've ever seen a quarterback. I don't recall ever doing a 300-yard gain for a quarterback before. And I've seen some good quarterbacks, Mason Cuttriff at Martinsville, Colin Christensen up at Fishers, but I've never
don't
seen
forget
him do
about
this.
Cannon.
Yeah. Yeah, well, now they went from Cody Cannon to a real Cannon there at Mooresville.
The Plainfield faithful start to file out, and there'll be an offsides penalty.
And that
against
one thing I've noticed, though, this being my third season of commentary, most fans in high school ball, even in the biggest blowouts, now this is hardly a blowout, only 14 points, but even in the biggest blowouts, most fans stay, all the way to the end. And it's great to see them stay and support the kids through thick and thin like that.
Well, as the plays and clock continue to wind down, we'll take a few seconds to thank some more of our sponsors between plays. Fabert calling out directions. He has two receivers to the right, one to the left. Two running backs in the backfield with him. Play clock down to 3. He gets it away in time. Keeps it himself on the quarterback keeper. Rushes to the right side.
Got the
and
first.
Gets to the first down. So a very nice run that time for a gain of 5 from Fabert. Now I can see why he had 100 yards rushing coming into the game.
Yeah, in fact, actually, his long on the season, his long rush of the season is 51. So,
The Avon Dental Center has provided custom-made mouth guards to the football program for their second consecutive year and are celebrating their 20th year in business. They're located at 7517 Beechwood Center Road, Suite 100 in Avon, and can be reached at 272-8100. Mooresville in the victory formation as they take a knee and continue to run down the clock. You can stop by and visit American Family Insurance Doug Hawk Agency, Inc. at 704 North Carr Road in Plainfield. You can reach them at 839-9445. Stop in Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 to discuss your insurance needs.
well, looks like Mooresville will just have to, take one more snap. They do, and that's it. So the Mooresville Pioneers, a very impressive win on the road. So they take a 2-1 record into their home opener next week against Greenwood. Meanwhile, the Quakers will try to regroup with, they hope they get Jacob Maple back next week when they have an even tougher opponent coming in. The
Roncalli Rebels.
Yeah, I believe 8-time state champions. So your final score here tonight at Plainfield, Mooresville 20, Plainfield 6.
Well, let's go and take a second and recap some of this game. Well, you have the scoring recap. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, with 8:05 to go in the first quarter, Morgan Hagee hit a 43-yard field goal, but that would be Plainfield's only lead of the game. It put them up 3-0, and the lead also was very short-lived with 7:11 to go in the quarter. Alex Fabert threw 61 yards to Ben Swats for a touchdown pass. The extra point failed, making the score 6-3. Then there was no scoring again for more than 2 full quarters. Finally, with 5:58 to go in the third quarter, Fabert again connected with Swats, this time 31 yards, and the 2-point conversion failed, making the score 12-3. Then with 9:49 to go in the fourth quarter, the Quakers made it a one-possession game when Hagee kicked his second field goal of the game, this one from 28 yards out, making the score 12-6. But then the Pioneers put it away with a third touchdown pass from Fabert to Swats, this one from 33 yards. And then Fabert connected on the 2-point conversion with Ben Sharp to bring us to our final score of 20-6. Individually, first of all, for the for your Plainfield Quakers, we had Colin Nieswander, 8 of 20 for 63 yards and 1 interception. Dayton Clements threw 1 pass. It was an interception. On receiving, Clayton White, 3 receptions for 27. Coy Anderson was also 3 for 27. And Zach Archer was 2 for 9. Rushing, Coy Anderson led the way. He was 17 for 65. Nieswander was 6 for 16. Tristan Southwood was 11 for 39. John Finch, 1 for 2. That was the first play from scrimmage on which he was injured, sadly. And then Clayton White, 1 for 1. For the Mooresville Pioneers, get ready for this in case you didn't catch it earlier. Starting quarterback Alex Fabert. Alex Fabert completed 20 of 30 passes, 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Through the air, Ricky Swats, 4 receptions for 137 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tyler Early had 8 for 66. For 86. Ben Sharp had 5 for 87, also a 2-point conversion. Sam Westfall, 4 for 3. And Derek Cox, 1 for 11. On the ground, not much to report, but Sam Westfall was 6 rushes for 23 yards. Alex Fabert was 7 for 5. And Austin Bridgewater, 1 for -3. And Tyler Early was 2 for 4.
Well, those are the stats and scoring breakdown. A couple more statistics to throw your way. Defensively for Plainfield, there were some nice plays made by a couple of different players. In particular, was Dayton Clements. He was pretty active tonight. He had 1 tackle for loss of about 5. But he also had 2 interceptions. One of them was a little bit of a positive yardage for 5 yards. So Dayton Clements did very good for Plainfield on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he did. And Plainfield really did do a lot of good things defensively. I mean, for considering what they were up against, considering that their defense was on the field a whole lot. The offense generally did not sustain drives very well. And then, I know that Faber did, have an outstanding game, but the rushing defense, particularly for Plainfield, was strong. And So there were, a lot of positive signs there, including the 2 interceptions, like you said. And, really, you don't ever want to make excuses for a loss, but it's not as much an excuse as it is a fact that Plainfield was just shorthanded tonight.
Junior Roger Roy also had a 4-yard tackle for loss, and the big sack was put on by junior Matt Moeller for Plainfield. Looking at the special team stats, you talk about how good of a leg Hagee has on him. The first kick he had for the field goal was 43 yards. Then he missed a 54-yarder by only a couple of yards,
yeah,
really.
Yeah, very close.
And then made a 28-yarder. So pretty nice day all around for him. And he had some really great punts that pinned Mooresville deep. And his kickoffs, each and every single one was a touchback.
Yeah, he certainly, looks like a very strong college prospect. And, if you're Plainfield, the main thing right now is just to beat the injury plague that they've, really felt the last couple of seasons, and obviously epitomized tonight when, your leading rusher goes down on the first play from scrimmage. I mean, that's a sign that things are not going your way.
And you got to think, he gets all those reps in practice the week leading up to the game, and then you're asking someone else completely to step in there.
Yeah, and that being said, though, you got to give all the credit in the world to Coy Anderson. I mean, his first dozen or so carries, he was stuffed more often than not, but then, he really, persevered. Coach Woodard believed in him, kept going with him, and finally produced some decent results there in the second half.
I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask you your Plainfield player of the game.
Oh, that's a good question. Really, I would say it's rare that you ever mention a special teams guy, but I'd say Morgan Hagee.
Yep, yeah. That's exactly where I was thinking.
Yeah, it's because, those 2 field goals really kept them, within striking distance. It was a one-possession game until...
And the onside kick.
Yeah, that's true. And nearly... I believe the all-time record in Indiana ball, the all-time long field goal in Indiana high school ball, I think it's 56 maybe. So, Hagee, he nearly connected from 53 or 54. So, yeah, I mean, he and then, one of those touchbacks, went nearly out of the end zone. So, I mean, it was an NFL caliber kick almost. And so, he's
overall, though, you have to give it the favorite.
Yeah, well, player of the. I mean, just for Plainfield, I'd give it to Hagee. For overall, no question, favorite. I mean, I looked at his stats. I thought, well, they're nice. He racked up a lot of it against a very bad Bowman Academy team, but to do it against Plainfield, and Plainfield, they gave up 28 points against Columbus North, 14 against Danville. So it's not like they've been giving up a ton of points every week.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. So far through 3 weeks, you've only given up. Let's see. You gave up 7 against Lebanon and only 6 here to Plainfield. So that's a very, very nice low total for your defense.
Yeah, and of course, another thing, with Plainfield, it's a minor consolation, but, after everything that went wrong tonight, they still only gave up 20 points.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially with the yardage that you gave up.
I mean, they could have given up, 35-42 easily. So, now, obviously, you wish that you were heading into a not so daunting opponent next week like Roncalli, but if they can get Jacob Maple back, I believe that they'll be so much more of a balanced team on offense. Open some doors for a Niswander to throw as well, and like I said, their rushing defense did a lot of good things tonight. So I think they're still going to come back, especially since the nature of Maple's injury, from what I understand, it looks like it's going to be a week-to-week thing. It's not like they're going to expect him to miss the entire season. So if he comes back healthy, I think they're going to be competitive and, have quite a few wins,
And the sooner you get those wins, particularly here at home, because so much of your front end of your schedule is at home for Plainfield.
Right. And, in fact, actually it will be 2 weeks before they finally play on an opponent's home field. They've had 2 games here and then one at Lucas Oil, then they got another one here next week.
And that's the neutral field.
Right. So then after that, so like I said, so it'll be their 5th game of the season before they actually play at the opponent's place. That'll be Greenwood in 2 weeks. And then after that, let's see, they got Decatur Central, who I don't know how they're going to be this year. They have a lot of losses from last year, but they do have Tommy Stevens back. Recent commit to IU, by the way. So it's good to see somebody from an Indianapolis school playing Division I ball here in Indiana. There's a lot of them have been going out of state. Then
it cracked me up. Last year there was the big 83-79 score between those two schools last year. And then I checked the score last week because I'm like, I'm keeping an eye on this game this year. 7-7 in the second quarter. I'm like, where's the scoring gone?
Yeah, I know. Well, Eli Conlon, is a lot of it. He had 19 touchdowns. Now he's taken his game just up the road to Marion, the 2012 NAIA national champions. So good to see that he not only stayed in state, but even stayed in city. Marion, an outstanding program in the NAIA. And then let's see, then in week 6, Plainfield will play at Franklin. The Grizzly Cubs much improved. They put up 61 points a couple weeks ago against Seymour, at least 40-some last week against Shelbyville. And they're, they were being very competitive with the Brownsburg. So, that's a game that's been an easy win in past years. It looks like it's not going to be this year. Then Whiteland, they have Isaiah Callaway, the sensational wide receiver, Ohio State recruit. And finally, the last week of the season at Martinsville, they look like they're down this year, but still they're a team that usually has a very high-powered offense. So doesn't look like they're going to be a lot of cupcakes here in the Mid-State Conference this year, but like I said, if they get Maple back healthy, I think they still will be a competitive team.
Well, up next for this Plainfield High School team, they'll be back in action at home next Friday, September 12th at 7 p.m. right here against, as you said, perennial tough Roncalli High School. Yeah,
8-time state champion. A team that, and they're one of those teams like Cathedral, like Fort Wayne Bishop Luers, where you can just always throw their record out the window because their record is always going to be, not so good looking because they play a murderous schedule. But, it's like, Cathedral, for example, 4-5 regular season last year, yet steamrolled the state championship. Yeah. They played 3 out-of-state teams that, 2 in Cincinnati, 1 in Louisville. Or, Fort Wayne Bishop Luers is another example. 0-9 last year. They were a Class 2A team. They played 7 teams in higher divisions. They're 0-9 in the regular season, still won 2 tournament games. So there is a method to the madness, the way some of those Catholic schools really pile on the schedule. It pays dividends in the tournament when it really counts the most. And what Plainfield's trying to do now. Brian Woodard's first 4 years made to the sectional championship. Now the last 4 years lost their first sectional game. They're really trying to get over that postseason hump this year.
So we'll see if they're able to get back into the win column next week against Roncalli as they turn off the lights here, as you can see on the camera. I think that's the signal that we need to stop talking and go home. So thank you for tuning in for tonight's broadcast. It's been a good one and been fun for us to call. The final score here at Plainfield, 20-6 in favor of Mooresville High School. Along with Lex Zorn, and also a shout-out to our cameraman, Doug Edens.
Yeah, he's a great help.
For working the camera tonight. Makes it so much easier for us just to focus on calling
remember how many plays we screwed up last year that we both forgot to adjust
turn the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a simple thing. Just turn the camera.
So, yeah, it was great having a guy do the camera work for us tonight. That made all the difference.
So, thanks to Lex Zorn for joining us, and also Doug Edens. We'll be back in action next week. Look forward to talking to you then. Until then, wishing you a good weekend from Plainfield High School. I'm J.P. Sinclair. Have a good night.
Good night.